All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to The Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here inside the Starcade Media Studio with my guy, Trevor Twidwell.
What's good?
Episode 251 is in full swing, full motion. We're so happy to be here with you and for you to be here with us. Whether you were live streaming, podcasting, or YouTubing, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. And this time, as we have the best show of the year to date, because this is what we've been all waiting for. I feel like Travis Kelce sometimes, where we get not necessarily bored during the regular season, but we're just really looking forward to getting to the games that really matter the most. Single game elimination, as I like to say. Excuse me. I'm so amped up, man. I'm getting a dry throat right now, man. We've been rushing, getting ready for the show today because, like I said, guys, we got a lot to get to. I was trying to figure out this week if we wanted to have a guest or not. We decided, you know what, Trevor and I have a lot to say today. You know how long-winded I can get. I didn't want to bore you guys a lot today, but you know what? It's cold as hell outside. No one's doing anything outside. It's going to be historically bad outside, especially here in Kansas City. I know that the majority of the nation is getting this, but Kansas City in particular is getting popped, and it might play a big factor in today's game. We're going to talk about that in a little bit today. So just bundle in, strap in, hang out with Trevor and I for a couple of hours. We're going to give you guys a lot to talk about. And speaking of talking about it, we want you guys to join us, and we appreciate every single week that you guys do join us here. And if you've not already done it, say it at the top. I say it at the bottom of every single show. Hit us up on YouTube at the Spoken Podcast. Hit like, subscribe, notify, but most importantly, get in the chat, because we have a segment later on today called Speak It. And if you're not familiar with that, what we do is we give you the platform. We give you the opportunity to give us any questions, takes, concerns, comments, whatever you guys have for us. Get it on there. We will put it on the screen. We will answer it as best as we can. We'll respond to it as best as we can. And we'll get to as many of you as we possibly can. Like I said, guys, Trevor and I are going to give you our full slate, full tilt of what we think is going to happen in this wild card round. I promise you're not going to be disappointed, because Trevor and I, we have not talked about what we see happening in these playoffs so far. We keep that it's a golden rule here at the Spoken, where we don't like to talk a lot about what we're predicting before the show, because we like to, kind of keep it as authentic as possible on the show. So you guys are figuring it out and finding out as we're figuring it out and finding out in real time. So we want to keep it as authentic as possible, and that's what you're going to get today. You are in luck if that's what you're looking for, because that's what we're going to give you today. And obviously, we're going to be finishing off the show with a series of L's. I know that's a big-time fan favorite as well. I know you guys like to throw L's out there as well. Hell, we'll even change it up. If you guys want to put L's in the comments today, we'll say hold this L while putting your L at the end of the show. If you guys want to join us and hold this L, make it a little bit more interactive, we can just have a full segment of you guys handing out L's as well, because why the hell not? It's playoff football time. I'm so excited about this, man. I have been so amped up. As you can see, guys, I'm in full Chiefs mode. I don't know if you guys can tell by the outfit that I got. Trevor's got a little action going on over there as well. We're ready for this, man. I don't usually wear a lot of Chiefs clothing on the show, but today is definitely the exception, and we're gonna have a lot of fun today. I hope you guys are ready for it. So, Trev, let's start with something that I think is the most important thing going into this week. What is it that people like to talk about when it comes to gauging what they're expecting from a team going into the playoffs, whether it's a top seed or a wild card team? It's how they're playing and how they're looking and how they're acting, how they're feeling going into that postseason run. Does this team have this feeling of like, yeah, they could get it done, they can make a run? Or on the opposite side, do they feel like a team like, shit, they're just barely hanging on, I don't even know how the hell they made it, they just literally like tumbled across the finish line and are looking to die really quick? There are a lot of teams, and I think, Trevor, if I'm going to be honest here, I think this is the most unpredictable playoff picture that I have ever seen. And it's not even necessarily because I think the Chiefs are having, quote-unquote, a down year, which is hilarious to think that, 15 years ago, even 10 years ago, you and I would have looked at this season as an absolute success. But now, to the standard the Chiefs have set, this has been a down year. But It's not even about just the Chiefs. It's about the fact that there is so much parity across the league. You know, Trevor and I did pretty good. We'll review this as far as where we saw our playoff teams beginning of the year and where they're at now. I think for the most part we did well. But the way that some of these teams were seeded were so unpredictable on both the NFC and AFC side of things that this is going to be one of the more intriguing, dare I say, exciting postseasons, I think, in a long time. Because we don't really know who's going to be the top dog to win it all.
It's truly a wild card.
It really is. And I love the fact that we have some incredible storylines going into this wild card round. It isn't just some good matchups. There's some incredible, and almost like, I know there's people out there that think it's rigged and scripted and all that stuff. I would understand it now in this particular season because of how perfect some of this stuff's set up. And we're going to be talking about that in just a little bit, guys. But
I just want to
go ahead.
give you some breaking news real quick.
Yeah.
Speaking of unpredictable, the Steelers and Bills game has now been postponed. It's going to be played on Monday evening, 4:30.
Wow.
Because of the snowstorm. I guess the snowstorm's really that bad out there, and I get it.
Yeah.
If it was just cold like we're dealing with here, that's one thing, but snow...
Well, they were also saying 65 to 70-mile-an-hour winds.
Right.
So they weren't going to be able to kick the ball, nothing like that.
So Monday night, we're getting the Bills and Steelers.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we got that now at the top of the show.
Right.
We'll make sure and retweet that and put that on our socials as well if we can. But, yeah, that's. I'm glad we found that out now before we started giving our predictions on how that game's going to go.
Yeah, I wanted to get that at the top.
We don't know what the weather is going to be like on Monday necessarily. I imagine it's going to be less. Otherwise, they wouldn't be moving this game. But I want to talk about the Chiefs here for a minute, Trevor, as far as where I see this team at right now coming into the postseason. So you guys are very familiar. Hopefully you are. But if you're not, I have been very consistent. Trevor's been very consistent on what we have been worried about when it comes to this team and the chances of them repeating as Super Bowl champions. To me, there was a moment of truth in that Bills game a few weeks back. I said that was going to be the game that tells me whether this team's going to be contending for a Super Bowl or not. And after that loss, and of course it was the way that the Chiefs lost more than anything as to why I had my legitimate concerns of whether this team can really do it or not. There is context to it, however. One, that team from a who was on the field perspective is much different now than it was back then. What do I mean by that? In that game, Kadarius Toney was still playing a pivotal role in this team. Sky Moore was still on this team. Guys that were taking up snaps from other wide receivers that could potentially be playing a role in this team now moving forward were there taking up those spots. Now, that's no longer the case. Also, Trevor, we can't deny this, and I know anybody watching or listening to this right now would agree with me on this. The vibes around this team weren't good either. They were all tense. You saw Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes pissed off on the sidelines because they were sick and tired of just the mediocrity around them on the offensive side of things. Their tackles were giving up all these sacks or pressures. Their wide receivers were dropping passes left and right. Everything felt tense. And I stand by what I said after that Bills game. And then the Bengals game happened. Now, that you look back and you're thinking, Lance, they kicked 6 field goals. Like, it wasn't like this profoundly great game offensively that they had. They were down 10 points at one time in that game, and it was Jake fucking Browning. It wasn't like it was a Joe Burrow game. I'm with you. But this team was playing different. This team was acting different. This team looked like a team that was excited because they knew they were on the verge of the playoffs, which is, if we're going to be honest here, is all that matters to this team. And you saw the swag surf on the sidelines. I know some people don't think that matters. It does here in Kansas City. Because we know what this team's all about. It's all about feeling good about themselves. And once they start feeling good about themselves, things usually start to roll in their favor.
Having fun.
And then you saw in this meaningless, like we talked about last week, this meaningless Chargers game with a myriad of backups for the Chiefs out there playing against the myriad of backups for the Chargers. And you saw something that I think cannot be ignored, because although he didn't play in the first week, which is the only real reason why he was playing in this week, we saw something in a play that ended up in a result that I want you guys to pay attention to. Trevor, let's go ahead and roll that beautiful bean footage of what took place in that Chargers game with Chris Jones.
Third down has been an issue for the Chiefs on this drive. Stick in the pocket to throw. Being chased and he's sacked. Who got him? Chris Jones! Got him! It's a 7-figured sack back at the 25-yard line. And the sideline is going crazy. Chris Jones is doing somersaults and snow angels. So is his family.
Not sure I've seen him sprint that fast in his career, but he got quickly off the field and the rest of his teammates celebrating with him on the sideline.
A sack back at the 25. A 11-yard sack, and that's your Big Mac sack, Chiefs fans. That means Big Mac sandwiches are buy one, get one free at McDonald's tomorrow. So buy one, get one free at McDonald's tomorrow. Valid at participating restaurants in the greater Kansas City, St. Joseph.
Well, in case you weren't aware of what that all meant, obviously we know that Chris Jones was going into that game, I think, a half a sack away from hitting an incentive that would pay him up to $1.2 million. And we know that this offseason was a loss altogether for Chris Jones, looking for that big-time contract extension that I was very much in support of, Trevor was very much in support of. Didn't end up working out because he has two doofuses known as the Katz brothers that were representing him this offseason and literally fumbled the bag for our guy Chris Jones. And he later admitted that to Tracy Wolf after this game. But besides the sack and Andy Reid allowing his veteran pass rusher to go after and money, literally, that's all it was about, was just getting money. Besides that fact, which I actually love about Andy Reid, even though it was a risk, he respected his veteran that's worked so hard for him for the last 7-8 years that he let him have that. It's the reaction of the team that I think is a bigger deal than people realize. What do I mean by that? You look at this team and how invested veterans, young players, all across the board, offense, defense, special teams, are jumping up and down and celebrating something like this for their teammate. Most times you see teams, and I don't want to speak for all teams, because I know there's a lot of really good teams and teammates out there, but you don't see that on a normal basis where the team is chasing him down the field, active, inactive players, running down the field, celebrating. Patrick Mahomes is jumping up and down because they were happy for their guy. And they know how valuable Chris Jones is to this team, and they know their chances of having a deep playoff push far better with Chris Jones in a good mood and motivated than pissed off and knowing he missed off on even more money. So this was a great thing for this Chiefs team, going up against, like I said, in a meaningless game, something like that can actually end up becoming so meaningful moving forward into the postseason. And Trevor, I can't help but have to stop right here because there's so much I want to talk about today, and we're going to get to as much as we can. But I'm not sitting here saying that now all of a sudden I'm convinced that this team's going to get to the Super Bowl. But what I am saying is from the moment that Bills game happened and what we talked about that night to where we are right now, I feel closer to a 180 than I ever thought I ever could, because of the fact that I think this team, although very flawed at wide receiver, this offense has been very flawed all year. We have seen this team now look like they're shaping into a more focused bunch that now understands what they have to overcome, which is themselves. What do we always talk about, Trevor, about how this team is the team that beats themselves more than any other opponent? Of their 6 losses this season, there's only one opponent that I can say legitimately beat the Chiefs, and that was the Green Bay Packers, as crazy as it sounds. All the other games, if you go look at those losses, the Chiefs 100% beat themselves. That's not a disrespect to those opponents. That is what that's the standard I put on this team. And with all the miscues, mishaps, just dumb lack of execution is why those losses came to be losses as opposed to wins, and why the Chiefs are a 3 seed as opposed to a 2 or a 1. And now I see that this team, Trevor, is starting to have fun again, have some swagger again, and it's almost like, as if you look at the Bengals game in particular, a game that actually did matter, the Chiefs leaned into the run game. They decided, you know what? Fuck it. Let's run the ball, and let's take some deep shots by setting up the play action. And that's exactly what they did. And this defense continues to be great, giving up 0 points in the second half, giving up 16 total points over the last 4 weeks in the second half. This defense stays consistent. This offense all of a sudden seems to be finding themselves, although still flawed, finding themselves within the flaws and understanding that they could still make diamonds with this pressure. And I love the fact, Trevor, this team had that ending of a season where they had these back-to-back wins, 2 different contexts, but one effective way to refocus and reshape their minds and mentalities moving into the postseason. Is that what you saw too? Did you agree with that, or do you think it's a little bit different than that, and this team's got a long road ahead of them?
Oh, of course, and especially with this team, with the Chiefs. If this was any other team, if this was the Texans, or if this was, the Browns rallying around Flacco, and that's a cool little story too. But this is a team that's been here and done it the last few years, right? This is a team that everyone is considering, has the best quarterback and coach tandem, has the championship pedigree, no matter how the regular season has gone. So any kind of edge that this team gets, any kind of excitement, any type of outlet that this team finds to create or make the game fun for them again, because listen, when it becomes all business and you have a championship or bust mentality every year, it can get dull. It's fun when you're on the road to the mountaintop, but when you're at the mountaintop, that's when it's the hardest to find that motivation. That's why MJ and LeBron and Iverson and Kobe, all these guys would kind of create their own narratives in their head. Like, oh, the world's against me. Even though everyone knows that they're beloved, everyone knows that they're there's this or that. You still have to kind of find your own bulletin board material to kind of find yourself momentum and motivation. And I think Andy Reid, leaving Chris out there to go get that money was a big deal, and I think the reaction of the team on the sideline was a big deal. And coming off that Bengals game, like you said, it was a field goal fest, but we were gaining some momentum in that game, and our defense was incredible in that game for the most part. And I think gaining momentum is a scary thing for any other team, any opposition. Seeing the Chiefs kind of having fun again towards the end of the year going into the postseason is not a good thing for them. But for us as Chiefs fans sitting back watching it and kind of like, kind of take a little breath of fresh air, kind of take, sigh, sit back, relax a little bit. The way we ended it was pretty solid. So I agree with you. I think especially Chris Jones, getting out there and getting that is good for his psyche as well. Good for his momentum rolling into this, because we have Chris Jones playing like that and talking about his days could possibly be numbered to Kansas City. You want that kind of, whether it is or whether it isn't, you want that kind of motivated Chris Jones leading this defense. And then, arrested Patrick Mahomes and arrested Kelsey, out there ready to go for this postseason, on top of the, watching their guys win that meaningless game against the Chargers, but still a win nonetheless, keeping that winning mentality alive. I agree with you, man. It's the little things, the little things that they definitely matter in this season. And the camaraderie and like you said, the swag surfing on the sideline, seeing Clyde, seeing Willie Gay, all of our rah-rah guys, Kelsey getting lit on the sidelines, all those things, they absolutely matter, man, because we haven't really seen that all year long. Like you said, it's been a grueling season. It's been Mitch Holtis even talked about on that tweet, all these teams have had the extra rest, heading into our games, and our matchups for a lot of teams have been their Super Bowls this year or their playoff games, their signature wins. The teams that have beaten us, and go ask the Eagles. That game meant a whole lot more to them than it did to us. Their coach will tell you that. So and all they've done since then is fall apart. So go figure. I mean, so it is what it is, man. This season has been a grueling one for us. It's been tough. Like I said a few weeks back, I'm just kind of putting my hands up. I'm not stressing over this team right now. Just make the playoffs, win this division. Whatever happens, happens. If we can gain some momentum, and that would be nice. And that's seemingly what is happening right now. The boys are having fun. When the boys are having fun, the boys are dangerous. So yeah, man, that's exactly what I took from that game as well. This is why people love Andy Reid. He's a player's coach. He loves his guys. He wants his guys to. He was 100% on board for Kelsey to play. That, and Kelsey made the decision for him upon himself to not go out there and play. So that is what it is. But I guarantee you, he was all for Kelsey going out there and getting that record, continuing that record. So. Yeah, man, I think this is the best we felt about the Chiefs, and it's good timing moving forward into this, getting ready for these big games. So couldn't ask for better timing, honestly, man.
Well, and I'm glad you actually brought that up when it comes to Travis Kelce, because of the fact that, when I first heard that he wasn't going to play, I was upset because I wanted to see him extend the record that I don't think is going to be touched. I think that he's got that pretty safe, locked up, and secured. But I thought initially it was the team that was telling Travis Kelce he wasn't going to play, and I disagreed with that if in fact that was the case. But the fact that Travis Kelce and the Chiefs agreed to have him rest Week 18 tells me one thing. They're going to do everything they can to get back to running the offense through him again for as long as the postseason run goes.
Right.
And I get why many assume that Isaiah Pacheco should be the player the Chiefs run the offense through in the postseason, but Andy Reid obviously has to be committed to the run more than ever than any other season in the Mahomes era, because we do know, even with that considered, that the offense is at its best when the goat-to-goat connection is going and clicking on all cylinders. And
right.
And this is the stats that I posted earlier on Twitter this week. In games with their starters playing, this is excluding Week 18 against the Chargers, the Chiefs went 4-1 in games that Kelce scored a touchdown. They went 6-3 when Kelce had at least 8 targets. And they went 6-2 when Kelce had 60-plus receiving yards this season. So to me, it's simple. Andy Reid has to find a way to get 15 and 87 connecting early and often. You have to get that rhythm going, especially in a cold game like this week, which we'll talk about in a second.
Right.
And I think there's going to be an unsung hero in all this that kind of makes that possible. It's 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 being back. Because he is probably the only Chiefs wide receiver that's capable of beating man defense while being able to stretch the field and run the gimmicky plays better than anyone on the roster. And he's a bigger help than most people realize at this point. I understand that 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 has his weaknesses or limitations as a wide receiver, but you saw even in this Chargers game, when he gets the ball and an opportunity to play, he produces.
Yep.
So if I'm Andy, and I know this isn't going to happen, Trevor, we're going to see this guy on the field, but if I'm Andy, I'm benching MVS. I'm giving Justin Watson and 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 his snaps. I keep Rashee Rice right where he's at and continue to utilize the Pacheco down out of the backfield, because we've seen now that Isaiah Pacheco has become a legitimate receiving option out of the backfield, even as late as this Bengals game and that beautifully drawn up red zone play that was their only touchdown of the game. So to me, this is the best way to get this offense back at their best, and their best is when 87 is producing at a high level. And I think that's what's going to start to happen here, Trevor. And speaking of Andy Reid and Travis Kelce, there's been a lot of this speculation, if you will.
People want it to end.
People want to know. Yeah, people are trying to throw dirt on our guys.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've been very consistent on this whole thing, Trevor, when it comes to both these guys, because I understand that they're not young puppies anymore, either one of them, at their own respected jobs. But these two bad boys put these babies to bed when it comes to this whole retirement talk. Go ahead and rule that beautiful bean footage, Trevor.
I haven't even thought about that, Nate. I mean, I'm thinking about one thing. I've figured that would come up when you guys were asking these questions, because I'm old. So, but not that old.
I mean, do you guys think about retirement? Am I the only one in this boat? No. Is anybody else in this thing? All right. Whoever's not thinking about stuff down the road, I blame you. I think it's just, I have no reason to stop playing football, man. I love it. We still have success. Come in with the right mindset, and I just love the challenge that it gives me every single day to try and be at my best. And like I said, I have no desire to stop anytime soon.
You guys ready to stop it now? Would you look at it?
Cut it out.
Would you look at it? Does that put it to bed? Do you guys still want to speculate on this, or do we need to play that video again? Sure, we want to play it again? We can play it again. Guys, these dudes aren't done. I've been telling people this all week long. I understand with these juggernaut names of Nick Saban out of the blue retiring at the college ranks, the greatest head coach we've ever seen at the college ranks. That was surprising. Even though at 72 years old, I didn't expect Nick Saban to retire, because we'd heard nothing about it, and that was just kind of the Saban way of just I'm done. And then you have Pete Carroll getting, he's stepping down, a.k.a.
demoted.
The Seahawks relieved him of his duties.
Yep.
72 years old. And then you see Bill Belichick parting ways with the Patriots at 71, soon to be 72 years old. So people start to do the math and think, oh, okay, who's the next guy? Oh, it's Andy Reid. He's the oldest coach in the NFL now. He must be stepping down too. Guys, look, Andy Reid is not young. But as he said in that video right there, he's also not old. Even from a coaching perspective. Guys, because here's the fact we have to remember here. Pete Carroll's not done. He wants to coach again. It's not like he's done coaching. Bill Belichick will coach next season for at least another year or two. And these guys are 6, 7, 8 years older than Andy Reid. I understand Andy's a big guy and people worry about his health. Guys, we've heard nothing about him having diminished health. And for all we know, he's gonna start taking care of himself in these latter years if coaching is still what he wants to do, which is clearly what he wants to do. And unlike these other names that I mentioned, at least at the pro level, with Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick, the difference also isn't just the vast amount of years between them. It's the fact that Andy Reid is still fighting for championships. Pete Carroll didn't make the playoffs. Bill Belichick just had his worst year of his career as a Patriots head coach in 24 seasons. Neither one of those guys are competing for Super Bowls right now. Andy Reid has the best quarterback in the NFL. And when it comes to Travis Kelce, it's for the same reasons I just stated about Andy Reid. Travis Kelce is in the perfect situation right now when it comes to where he's at. He's already goated. He's already got the numbers and the streaks and the Super Bowl championships, and he's the second best receiving player in playoff history. All that aside, it's the fact that he has a connection that is unlike almost any other connection we've seen in the history of the NFL, outside of maybe like Marvin Harrison and that 1 year with Randy Moss and Tom Brady. There are very few connections in NFL history that can even be compared to what Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce have and have been having for the last 5-6 seasons. And if we're talking about a down year for Travis Kelce and him losing his step, the man was 16 yards away from another 1,000-yard season, and he missed 2 games. Think about that, guys. Like this, once the Chiefs have, and I've been stating this and I will state it again and again and again, once the Chiefs 100% do what I know what they're going to do this offseason and overcorrect and go get a stud wide receiver in free agency or trade for a guy while also drafting at least one more, you're going to see Travis Kelce go back to what we know Travis Kelce to be. And I always reference the Tony Gonzalez comparison because Tony Gonzalez is the only guy, in my opinion, that can even be adequately compared to Travis Kelce at this point of his career. Why did Tony Gonzalez have such awesome seasons late into his 30s? Because the Falcons built their offense correctly. They had 2 wide receiver ones and an awesome running back in the backfield in Michael Turner. That's why Tony Gonzalez's job was that much easier, and he could continue to play the way you really think if Tony Gonzalez would have stayed in Kansas City and had no weapons around him on that offense, and maybe just Jamal Charles, you really think he's playing until he's 37, 38 years old? Absolutely not, fellas. Not happening. Travis Kelce understands that he's got a lot of football left in him. We should know that. We should know better, guys. Because if this is as bad as it's going to get for Travis Kelce, this dude can play for another 3 or 4 seasons if he wanted to. And I wouldn't put it past him that he actually ends up doing that. So I don't know how much longer Andy Reid's going to coach. I don't know how much longer Travis Kelce's going to play football. But one thing I do know is neither one of them are going anywhere anytime soon. 2024, they will be back, and this team will be right where they belong, right at the top of the Super Bowl contention. And I hope you guys are excited as I am, because I know I'm excited as shit about that. Trevor, let's get to the wild card weekend, baby. Let's start previewing this shit, man. We're finally here. We have the seedings. We know the matchups. We understand what things are going on. Obviously, at the kick of the show, we had breaking news about the Buffalo Bills. And if you guys didn't hear it, or you didn't see it yet, the Bills and the Steelers game will now be moved from Sunday afternoon. I think it was Sunday afternoon to Monday. I'm believing it's going to be Monday afternoon then.
Monday 4:30.
Okay, so Monday at 4:30, guys, that's when the Bills and Steelers will be playing, because if you think we have bad weather here in Kansas City, it might be worse in Buffalo. I mean, they're talking, like I said, wind gusts of 65, 70 miles an hour. I mean, and snow, they were talking about a foot of snow. I mean, they're going to get a shit ton of snow up there, guys, and it's going to get nasty. My whole breakdown was going to be that game was going to be super low scoring and there was going to be like no field goals. How the hell are you going to kick a field goal in that kind of weather?
Yeah.
So that's going out the window. We will improvise that take in a second, guys, about what we see in that matchup on Monday now. But, man, as I said, Trevor, there's some crazy-ass storylines in this postseason from the get-go. And something that I also want to talk about that I don't think has been talked about enough, and I posted this, Trevor, if you want to put that on the screen, as far as the quarterbacks that are under the most pressure. Quarterbacks with the most pressure to win the Super Bowl this season. I actually made my list, and I want to see if Trevor agrees with it, or if you guys agree with it, let us know in the comments. But this is my list right here. At the top, it's Josh Allen. I don't think there's any question about it. We know that this team is on the brink of having their window closed 100%. We know that Stephon Diggs is not happy in Buffalo. He's also now 30 years old. Von Miller's 100% washed. They're going to have some real cap problems. Our guy John Harrison can verify that in a second, because I'm sure he's watching, and he can tell you guys how bad cap's going to be for the next couple of years for the Buffalo Bills. I think that Josh Allen, if there's ever going to be a season over the next 2 to 3 years where he can finally get over the hump and win a Super Bowl, it's got to happen this season. I'm not saying they should, or they're really going to be able to. I'm not worried about the Bills, but if they have one last ditch effort with this McDermott, Josh Allen duo, it's going to happen this season. So I think without question, Josh Allen has the most pressure over him of any other quarterback in the playoffs. Then it's Dak Prescott. Being the Cowboys quarterback alone puts you at that top, no matter where you're seated, anything like that. But it's also the fact that Dak Prescott is a legitimate MVP candidate this year. He's had incredible numbers this year. He has shown that this dude is a legitimate quarterback in this league. I think he has bumped himself up from being a fringe top 10 quarterback to borderline top 5. And I say that with respect to every other quarterback in this league, but Dak has played unbelievable football. This is also maybe the most complete team he's ever had. at least since his rookie season. This defense is good, banged up, but really good still. And this offense is unbelievably talented from top to bottom. He has maybe the best wide receiver in the league right now in CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb just had an incredible all-time awesome season. And I think that the Cowboys now being the 2 seed, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit as far as this matchup with the Packers are concerned, the expectations are real. People are really starting to pencil the Cowboys in as a Super Bowl team. That hasn't happened in a long time, guys. At least since 2016 with the whole Des Cottet situation.
That was my prediction, Chiefs Cowboys.
So I think that knowing that there's going to be questions about the coaching situation with Mike McCarthy, knowing they're going up against Mike McCarthy's former team, knowing that the 49ers have owned the Cowboys multiple times over the last couple of years, and that might be the NFC Championship, knowing that the Rams are coming on, knowing that the Lions are pissed off about how the Cowboys got that win over them just a couple of weeks ago. Man, there is so much pressure on Dak Prescott, and that's why he's my number 2. Number 3, it might shock you guys because you think, well, Lamar's got to have the most pressure. He's probably going to win MVP. They're the number 1 seed in the AFC. Guys, I do believe there's a ton of pressure on Lamar Jackson. It's not to take away from the amount of pressure he has. I just look at the other 2 guys above him, and I think there's more on them. The biggest reason why is Lamar Jackson just got a massive contract. Lamar Jackson also has never succeeded at all in the postseason. So I understand there's going to be a ton of pressure on him because now everyone's penciling them in as the Super Bowl champs, or at least the Super Bowl representatives out of the AFC. But we also have to sit here and go, yeah, but Lamar's been ass in the postseason. He's not been good at all. And so I know there's an adequate amount of pressure on him for the factors I just stated, but would it really shock you, Trevor, if Lamar shits his pants in the divisional round?
That's what he's always kind of done.
Always. He's never had one good postseason game.
Right.
So I have to look at this and think my expectations for Lamar are low, even though he's going to win MVP. They have the 1 seed. I still am not expecting a ton out of him. I'm definitely expecting more out of Dak Prescott and Josh Allen because they've at least shown me in the postseason they can play well. Yeah. Dak Prescott has a 99 quarterback rating in his postseason career. Josh Allen has had some historic performances in the postseason. So I'm expecting way more from those 2 guys. Then it's Jalen Hurts. And I know that's nuts because the Eagles look cooked. We got the word earlier this morning that A.J. Brown's not going to play in this game against the Bucs. The Eagles look just dead. But Jalen Hurts also just got a massive contract. Mm-hmm. And there is so much expectation for him now that he's made the Super Bowl. You want to talk about expectation? People are like, you got to get back there and win one, dude. You're considered one of the elites. You just got paid like an elite quarterback. You have the second highest contract in the history of this game. You better go out there and perform. You have a loaded offensive roster with the best offensive line in the league. You got Devontae Smith. A.J. Brown's gone, I get it, but you have good running backs like with DeAndre Swift. You have what seemingly we thought was a really good defense, which is basically just Georgia's Bulldogs defense from yesteryear. And everything's ass, and now it's relying on Jalen Hurts to try to get out of the first round. If they don't get out of this first round, people are going to start asking legitimate questions about where Jalen Hurts is physically, mentally, emotionally, and there's going to be a lot of questions around that Eagles team. And we know, Trevor, Philadelphia fans are the most cutthroat fans in the nation.
Coaches and QB. I mean, Andy Reid got fired there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
and it looks like Nick Sirianni might be on the cutting board.
Of course, yeah.
So there's a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts to get this win and get back to the Super Bowl. And then Patrick Mahomes. People think, Lance, Patrick Mahomes is one of the 5 most pressure, or has the 5th most pressure. Why does he have pressure? He's a 2-time Super Bowl winning MVP, 2-time Super Bowl champion. He's had the greatest start of NFL history from a quarterback perspective. Why does he got all this pressure on him? For those very same reasons. Because now, guys, it is expected of Patrick Mahomes to get back to the Super Bowl. And now, Patrick Mahomes, unlike any other quarterback in the NFL, is not facing just his peers and his colleagues.
His own standard.
He's facing goats. He's facing history. He's facing things that you don't, like Trevor's chasing ghosts here, guys. He's chasing things that are beyond what is tangible right in front of him. Yes, he has to focus on the team ahead of him, but he's also playing history. He's going up against Tom Brady, guys. So trust me when I say there is a lot of pressure on Patrick Mahomes. It may be less than these other 4 names because unlike Patrick Mahomes, none of those guys have won a Super Bowl yet. So the pressure's cooking on these guys. They got their expectations are high. But Patrick Mahomes is doing something none of these 4 guys are doing, which is going up against the greatest of the greatest when it comes to success, when it comes to stacking championships, when it comes to building an unprecedented legacy. That's why Patrick Mahomes is in my top 5. Other than that, Trevor, what are your thoughts on this list, man?
I agree with the list and the order they're in. The only one that's interchangeable for me is the 5th spot with Patrick Mahomes. I think Jared Goff needs to be arguably on the number 5 spot because I think not only does the pressure of the matchup, who he's going against, with his coach that kind of just gave him the middle finger and told him, get out, and all that beef that was going on there between them, whatever it was exactly, no one truly knows. And on top of that, the city of Detroit, the pressure of Detroit, their success this season, what they've done. But can Jared Goff do it when it matters most? Because we've seen Jared Goff have a roller coaster kind of season as far as his personal, box score and how he performed, and some of those games they won in spite of his terrible performances, or lost because of his terrible performances. In this game, a game that they should win, they should be considered the better team, and I think they are the favorites in this game. But this team, this city riding on him. Do we know if he's that coach's guy? Right. Do we know, because he was traded there, kind of, it felt like a stopgap, and it could still be a stopgap. And there's a lot of good young quarterbacks coming into these next couple of drafts. Does Detroit have him on a short leash? Is this his opportunity to prove that he could be the guy moving forward? He's still a young man, still has a lot of good capabilities, but can he win when it matters most? This is his first opportunity to really show that. I know he had some success with the Rams, of course, and won some games there, but this is a whole new environment. This is not LA. This is Detroit. This is a team that was, starving for moments like this. So that city on top of him, that pressure is pretty hefty. And we've been there as a city. Kansas City, when Alex Smith got us to the playoffs, since, we had a long drought there before that. And, it was a lot of pressure on Alex Smith. So I feel like Patrick Mahomes, obviously the pressure is going to be there every year. He's always going to be, especially this year, it added pressure with the offense not being very good and our defense being really good. That pressure of the offense showing out and performing and helping this defense out in these big playoff games is a lot of pressure for Pat too. So I just feel like those two guys are a little interchangeable there, because Goff could be on the hot seat too if he's out there and he throws 3 picks and they get destroyed by the Rams. That's big on him. They got a lot of decisions to make moving forward. And Detroit, we talk about Philly. Detroit's a team, or a city that's starving for success, and they finally have a good coach, and they have a lot of good talent on this team defensively and offensively. You got a true elite wide receiver one in Amon-Ra, who's becoming one of the best receivers in the game. You got 2 really good running backs on that team too, a really good defensive line. A lot of things you can build on there, but if the quarterback is the weak link, that's a lot of pressure on him, man. So if he goes out there and is awful, that's bad. That's bad for him and moving forward in Detroit, and that's a cutthroat city. So I think Jared Goff is right up there with Patrick Mahomes as far as my fifth list. So I'd put like a dash Jared Goff next to Patrick Mahomes.
I like that. That's good. Let me know that. I didn't really think of it that way. Mostly just because of the fact that I don't know how many people are honestly expecting the Lions to win the Super Bowl, but also
people were touting them as Super Bowl contender all year. So,
but now that and we'll get to it in a second. Now that the Rams are coming to town, and the whole storyline of Matthew Stafford, I feel like Jared Goff has almost become like an afterthought, even with what you're saying about McVay and him. For me, Jared Goff put up 3 points in the Super Bowl. If anybody's getting revenge, it's McVay on him for costing him a fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah,
put up 3
that's
points.
what I'm saying, though. That's what I'm saying. McVay is going to be coming for his throat.
Yeah.
So that's pressure on him on top of Detroit. Please just get us a playoff victory. That's a lot of pressure, man. That's a lot of pressure, dude. So, and he's got the angst and the vitriol coming from the Rams side of his ex-coach that had a falling out with him, and then Detroit, that pressure of Detroit.
That's fair.
The game's in Detroit, that's a big moment. So he loses that game in Detroit to his coach that gave him the middle finger. Oof, that's a tough one to eat and sit on the offseason. So yeah.
Eagles and Bucks. I'm going to start with that game, Trevor, because I feel like that's the one that we all kind of just have to make peace with.
Yeah.
I don't like that. That's the finisher of the weekend, because I feel like that might be potentially the worst game of the weekend. Eagles, and I don't know if the line has moved at all since A.J. Brown's announcement or not, but last I checked, the Eagles came into this game as 3-point favorites on the road, which means that if they were at home, they'd probably be a touchdown favorite in this game. And that's despite the fact that the Eagles have lost 5 of their last 6 games, not only losing to the 4-win Cardinals at home and the 6-win Giants in the final 2 weeks of the season, but they will be without A.J. Brown, which is a massive, massive loss. But it's also the fact the Bucs are coming into this matchup winning 5 of their last 6 matchups, including beating the hot Packers by 14 in Green Bay just 4 weeks ago.
Eagles are still 2.5.
2.5. Okay, so it hasn't really changed that much. The point is, I have no idea how in the hell the Eagles are the favorites in this one, considering all of those factors. It's not that I believe that the Bucks are some unbeatable force. It's not that I think the Eagles are absolutely. It's not even about really the Bucks at all. It's that I believe the Eagles are absolutely cooked, and there's a strong chance that they're going to have a new coach by February, and that might be Bill Belichick.
They're on the road, man.
Exactly.
This is in Tampa,
and we know that Bucks. There's fans down there, man. They have legit fans down there, and there's too much noise surrounding this Eagles team. And I think the Bucks come into this game the healthier, more confident, and better football team right now. I really believe
Baker
that.
playing on house money.
So with all that said, Trev, and I want to get your take on this too. I think the Bucks are going to win this game by double digits. I have the Bucks winning this game, Trevor, 27-16, because I don't see how the Eagles are going to be able to move the ball enough with Jalen Hurts banged up, with A.J. Brown completely out of the game, and with the Bucs defense being a good defense, not a great defense, but a good defense.
Very good against the run.
Very good against the run, which is going to be the only strength the Eagles really have in this game. Because Jalen Hurts has been struggling to throw the ball at all. And with the Eagles defense being such ass against Baker Mayfield, who albeit is banged up, but is still getting the ball to Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and his other weapons, and White out of the backfield, who's been deadly in the catching game.
Chris Godwin been coming on as late too.
Maybe I'm just prisoner of the moment here, Trevor. But I'm talking about a 6-week moment here.
Yeah,
the Bucs have been the much better team over the last 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
Oh yeah, and they're a team that stole the division at the very end of the season. That's momentum,
and I think that the Eagles are a team that have just been waiting to die. They look like a team that's just bleeding out, man. You know what I mean? And so I just think that the Bucs are going to be the team that puts them to bed. And I don't know how much confidence anybody can really have in this Eagles team going into this matchup. I'm willing to listen. If people think this Eagles team is going to win, I'd love to hear the reason why, because I feel that the Eagles are bleeding out and there's just so much pressure on Nick Sirianni, and I just don't think he's going to be able to handle it.
Man, yeah, I'm picking the Eagles, but I will not be surprised if Tampa takes this game and just runs with it, because we've seen them do that. I mean, this offense has been really good all year. Like you said, Rachaad White's been a big, shining, bright point because he struggled a lot last year. They've really leaned on him a lot in a lot of games. And Baker's really he's had a great connection with Mike Evans this year. That's been one of the best tandems this year, and people still don't talk about it. I don't know why. Enough, anyways. That's been one of the best QB to wide receiver tandems in the entire NFL, top 3.
Yep.
I mean, touchdowns, yards. I mean, those guys have been killing it together this year. So, do I expect the Philly to stop that just outright? No, I don't. I think they're going to do what they do. I think they're going to go get some points. I think some points are going to have to be scored in this game on both sides. I actually think this game's going to be pretty fun, honestly. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game because neither defense can really stop the pass. The secondary of the Bucs, it has more talent, I think, in my mind. They've been a little bit better. Philly's got names in that secondary, but they have not been able to stop anything. They've just been a sieve all year, which is super surprising. They have not generated nearly enough pressure up front that we would expect, especially with the way they've drafted and the talent that they brought in and the guys that they've had around there for years that have always been consistently great at getting after quarterbacks, and it just hasn't worked. I don't know what the deal is, and I mean, I think them losing some coordinators might have affected some things, but yeah, I think I'm taking the playoff experience here, and I'm taking the team that's been there just at least recently. I know Todd Bowles has been a guy who's been around. Do I trust him to outcoach anybody at this point, though? I really don't. I like Todd Bowles. He's a great DC. But as far as a head coach and like clock management and football decisions and situational football, I just trust Philly to kind of take advantage of those situations. And I think they eke out a very, very close game, whether it's 1 to 3 point win. I think Philly just finds a way to win. I think the legs of Jalen Hurts going to have to be really, really big. I think he's going to run his ass off because we all know that finger's not right. So I think you're going to see a lot of design runs for Jalen Hurts because this is win or go home, man. This is the time I think that he's going to have to run a lot. They're going to really try to get their running backs going, but I think the defensive line and the linebackers of Tampa, they really do a good job at stifling the run and bracketing running backs, not letting them break it out on the edge and stuffing them up the run. And Philly they have a lot of like skilled runners, obviously with Swift, but they're not big banger guys. I think the big running backs tend to have more success against Tampa, but yeah, man, I think this is one of those games where it could go either way, and I won't be surprised because Tampa's rolling and Philly is just completely falling apart, and they lost their best weapon offensively. But I still think Philly finds a way to win. They still have guys, they still got Devonta Smith, they still got Goddard. They still got some good running backs. They still got a quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in this league, regardless of how bad he's played the last few weeks and how banged up he is. I still trust his poise and his ability to go find ways to win games, and it hasn't really done it a lot this year. But I think, just how we feel about Patrick Mahomes, not to that degree, obviously, but these two quarterbacks did make it to the Super Bowl last year. And Jalen Hurts is a very composed guy, and I expect his experience and his leadership to kind of show out in this game. And I expect Baker to make like one mistake that might be a costly one, because we know he can do that. I think Philly pulls out a really, really close one here.
Cowboys and Packers. See, I think this one is the game that has the most underrated storyline of them all.
Yeah, no doubt.
This matchup has a fun, tense storyline surrounding one particular coach in Mike McCarthy. He's not just facing his former team that he had a lot of success with. He's facing his former team with all the pressure in the world on him to get this W. You could say it's due to the lack of success for the Cowboys over the last quarter century that's riding on his back, but it's actually because I actually believe this situation is a lot like the Eagles coaching situation. I first of all, let me say, I think Mike McCarthy is a much better coach than he gets credit for. I mean, he wins over 60% of his games. He's a Super Bowl champion.
Sure.
He dealt with the Aaron Rodgers bullshit. Now he's dealing with Cowboys bullshit. That's a lot for a guy to handle, and he's handled it very well. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Cowboys have 3 straight seasons of 12 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, they take care of business, at least in the regular season. So he's a good coach, and I like Mike McCarthy. He's been around for a long time. He was on the Chiefs coaching staff all those years ago with Marty Schottenheimer. Our guy Shaggy Shane actually sent me a photo of him in his early 30s with a little mustache on. I was like, holy shit, that's Mike McCarthy. Any other offseason coming up, I would say no matter what happens in this postseason, there's no way Mike McCarthy's getting fired. Any other offseason. But see, the thing about this offseason, though, guys, is there's going to be an unprecedented amount of heavy-hitting coaching names available if Jerry Jones is able, and if Jerry Jones is wanting to go and get one of these guys, it's actually possible. You're going to have Jim Harbaugh available. You're going to have Mike Vrabel available. You're going to have Bill Belichick available. All guys that are either better or comparable to Mike McCarthy. And if they are to lose this game at home, when we know that the Cowboys have been just they're a dominating home team. I think they had won, 14 straight home games at one point, or 15 straight home games at one point. Mm-hmm. If they lose this game, not only to his former team, to the youngest team in the playoffs, one of the youngest teams to be in the playoffs in years, and all those names are just sitting out there still, let's say all 3 of those names are still sitting out there after this weekend. You don't think for a second Jerry Jones is going to sit there and go, am I really going to pass up on Jim Harbaugh? Am I really going to pass up on Bill Belichick? Am I going to pass up on 46, 47-year-old Mike Vrabel, who's won in the playoffs with Ryan Tannehill? What would he do with Dak Prescott?
Well, I have a question with that, though. Do you think those big names, those coaches would want to work under Jerry Jones? See, his finger being in every single thing. I think that might annoy a lot of these OG coaches. I'm
glad you asked that, but here's the thing. I think sometimes coaches actually appreciate what Jerry Jones does, because what he cares. Does, he's loyal. Yeah, he's loyal to his coaches.
Sure,
he let Jason Garrett run that shit for like 9 years.
Yeah, here we are talking about McCarthy being on the hot seat.
Right. No, I know. Because of the unprecedented offseason we're about to have.
Right.
But it's also because of the fact that Jerry takes so much of the focus of the stuff that the coaches don't like dealing with. What do I mean? Coaches hate media, whether they want to admit it or not. They don't like talking to the media.
That's why coach speak is a thing.
What does Jerry do? He loves talking to the media.
Sure.
And here's the other thing, Trevor. We got to start giving the Jones family some respect. They draft their asses off.
Yeah.
Dude, they have built one of the best rosters in the NFL for the last 5 years.
They always have a ton of talent.
They have drafted their asses off. They don't, everybody thinks they just go and spend all this money on free agents. They don't usually do that.
Yeah, when was the last time the Cowboys were just like an awful team?
That's what I'm saying. Stephen Jones has been a hell of a GM.
Right.
He's been a hell of a GM. Yeah. He's helped his dad build this. Now, he's had to talk his dad off the ledge a couple times. I remember they tried to draft Johnny Manziel, and Stephen Jones was like, no, we're not doing that. I'm not saying Jerry's like above reproach. He can be criticized fairly. He's made some mistakes, My point though is I think the Cowboys with the roster infrastructure and with Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones running things so loyally and so well, quite frankly, I think Jerry honestly gets a bad rap a lot of times just because he's a very outlandish alpha guy.
Oh, he's entertaining as hell.
Yes,
yeah.
But I think that he's also a guy that a lot of people would like to work for, and I think Bill Belichick would be ideal in Dallas. He could raise up that defense, go there with their quarterback. All he needs is a quarterback to succeed. We know that Bill Belichick can't win shit unless he's got an awesome quarterback. So he would have an awesome quarterback in Dallas. I'm just painting scenarios.
Odd to see, man.
I'm painting scenarios of likeliness.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to happen because I believe, Trevor, the Cowboys come into this matchup with the Packers as the much better team.
Mm-hmm.
I've been saying for weeks that if the Niners slip up in the divisional round and the Cowboys end up with home field throughout, they're going to the Super Bowl. I 100% believe that. If the Cowboys get home field, if the Niners get upset, and the Cowboys don't have to go to Santa Clara, the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl. So I don't think that these scenarios are going to happen. I'm saying they're possible, in my opinion.
I mean, that's my prediction.
And so, yes, obviously the Packers are the youngest team going to the postseason in many years, which is very impressive. Jordan Love is absolutely balling, looking like a top 10 quarterback. But their defense is horrendous. And Jair Alexander is banged up going against maybe, like I said earlier, the best wide receiver in the NFL right now in CeeDee Lamb, who's getting absolute production every single week, getting like 11, 13, 12, 15 targets every single week.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of pressure is on the Cowboys, McCarthy in particular, but I am fully expecting the Cowboys to maintain their home field dominance and advance to the divisional round in this matchup. Trevor, I got the Cowboys. This is going to be a high-scoring game. I got the Cowboys winning this game 34-24.
I don't think it's a high-scoring game. I think it's a high-scoring game for one team. I think the Dallas Cowboys blow them out.
Yeah.
I think this is a statement game, like you said. I think all the narratives going into this game. I think there might be some garbage time points for the Packers.
Yes.
Because LaFleur is a masterful.
They start games off hot too, by the way. Packers do start games off hot.
Not this game.
Yeah. Okay.
Not this game. I think this is going to be a dominant performance from Dak Prescott. I think he runs a lot too. I think this is an over my dead body kind of game for Dak Prescott. He has to have this game. He cannot lose this game to the Packers, to this young quarterback at home in the playoffs, knowing that his job's on the line, knowing that his coach's job on the line. They're both playing for each other. The bond between McCarthy and Dak has been a cool thing to watch this year. He's really gotten the best out of Dak, and Dak's had arguably his best career season this year. He's been great. I think I've seen some more development out of Dak as a leader too, not wanting to wear the NFC champ or the division championship hat and all that. I loved that out of him. There was some Kobe-esque type stuff.
Yep.
The job's not done type stuff. I love that out of athletes. So he has a mission, and I think I have this Cowboys team in the Super Bowl for a reason. I know San Fran's a scary team, and we'll get to them at some point whenever they start their game. But I love this Cowboys team. I know their defense has had some letdown moments, and their offense has struggled at times too, and they've had some ugly games, but they've also had some very dominant games against some. And we can talk about the teams that they face and dominated, but at the same time, I think this team has everything you need in a team to make a run. And I think that them having this home game against the Packers is a terrible spot for the Packers, in my personal opinion. The Packers are banged up too. Christian Watson can't stay on the field. Aaron Jones he's barely really played consistently this year. He's back, but he hasn't really been dominant to his degree of what we've known him to be because he still has some nagging things going on. Young quarterback going into Dallas. Yeah, Jordan Love has surprised me. I wasn't a Jordan Love guy, but he's been really good this year. He had some lulls throughout the year, but he's overcome it, and he's grown. He's really become an accurate quarterback. He's made some incredible throws, especially down the stretch. I love this game. I love this matchup, but I think the Cowboys dominate this game on both ends. I think they have an all-pro cornerback this year, Bland, who's been a guy who just crushes dreams. I don't think he's that great as a coverage guy, but he's a guy that's a ball hawk. Kind of reminds me of Marcus Peters.
Good enough to make an all-pro over L'Jarius Sneed.
Right, yeah, we all know that's trash. That's an L in itself, but didn't even make second all-pro, which is insane. Second team All-Pro. L'Jarius Sneed didn't even make that. So, but yeah, but Bland, I'll give him his flowers, man. Bland has been a guy that has a nose for the ball, has very makes me think of like the prime Marcus Peters days, how he just found would leave assignments and just go get that ball and take it to the house. He's been incredible at that, and I think Jordan Love as a quarterback, as good as he's been, he will hang the ball up sometimes on some throws, and I think he's going to pay for that. And I think Dak Prescott goes off in this game. I think CeeDee Lamb goes off in this game. There's no stopping that guy right now. I don't care what you put on. I don't care if Jair is 100% right now. I just don't. Go ahead.
The only guy that I think can stop CeeDee Lamb is
the guy that got snubbed.
They'd get all pro.
Right. Well, and then that you pair that with Spagnuolo and what he's done this year, and how we have found ways to double and cover the elites. With Jamar Chase, we saw what we did to him. But anyway, in this matchup, I love the Cowboys here. I think they have an explosive offensive performance here, especially between the duo of Dak and CeeDee Lamb. I think those guys go off. So I have the Cowboys scoring north of 30, and I don't even think the Packers get to 20.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah.
Bills and Steelers. We know now, like we talked about a couple times now during the show, that this game has now been rescheduled to a day later because we know that the weather up there in Buffalo is going to be really, really bad over the next 24 hours or so. So I understand why they're doing this, and quite frankly, I support it because I want Buffalo Bill fans to be able to be there. In all seriousness, I know Bills fans think I just trash their team and trash their quarterback. It's actually just stating facts, and I know you guys don't like those. But another fact that I will state that you guys will like, Bills Mafia, is that you guys are some of the best fans in the entire world. And you guys are loyal and dedicated to your team, whether they've been bad, good, or great. So I will always give you guys your respect, and I would hate it if you guys were not able to be out there in full force to support your team in a postseason game.
Yeah.
Primarily because I don't think you guys are going to have much of that over the next couple of years, but that's beside the point. But the point I'm going to make is this is a matchup that, yet again, the Bills are heavy favorites. Don't ask me why, but they are, other than facing a team they should demolish, because the Steelers are now on their third-string quarterback, a guy that we know in Mason Rudolph that is a failed quarterback in this league that is playing by default because Kenny Pickett got hurt and Mitchell Trubisky might be the worst quarterback we have ever seen. But contrary to popular belief, the Bills aren't scary and haven't been since October, and this is the point I will continue to drive home until I am proven otherwise or their season's over, which is going to be door number 2. And again, when it comes to the weather, yes, it looks like it will probably be better on Monday, but we don't know yet. We'll have to check the Buffalo, New York forecast, but I'd imagine that it's going to probably be a little bit better. Still probably going to be cold, probably some snow, but it probably won't be having 70-mile-an-hour winds out there, which is going to be the biggest factor. I think guys love to play through snow. They don't mind that. It's wind. Wind is the biggest factor when it comes to football. Can't throw it, can't kick it. It just makes the game very limited and, quite frankly, ugly. So we'll have to pay attention to that. But the thing I'm going to be paying attention to, Trevor, in this game, because, yes, I fully anticipate the Bills should win this one.
Yep.
They're the better team. They have clearly the better quarterback. But it kind of stops, outside of Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, it kind of stops there. Because I think the Steelers have some elements in this game that could really cause some tension in this one. What do I mean by that? I know that TJ Watt's not playing, so that's the biggest factor. TJ Watt's in my opinion, the best player on the field if he's playing this game. I think he's the best player on the field. But he's not going to be in there with the MCL sprain. But the Steelers still have plenty of guys on the defensive side that can make impact in this game, especially against a team like the Bills that are so limited in the pass game over this last 6-7 weeks. And a defense like the Bills that can be had on the running side of things. We saw the Dolphins have a lot of success on the ground just this last week against this Bills defense, especially with Von Miller being unplayable at this point and a lot of guys out in this game. I think the Steelers offense, Trevor, they're not going to score a ton of points in this one, but I think they can dictate the possession or the pace of this game with Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris. I think both those guys can have a lot of success in the ground game this week, regardless of what the weather looks like. In fact, if it is bad still on Monday, I think that might actually be better for those guys. And I think that Josh Allen's going to have to – a lot's going to be put on Josh Allen in this matchup because we've seen James Cook really come back to earth. He was playing really, really well, and then he's kind of come back to earth. And now that's falling more on Josh Allen, and we saw how bad he played against the Dolphins. Don't be deceived. I know the Bills won the game. Josh Allen was terrible in that game, guys. I think that this is going to be a much closer game than the Bills fans are going to want and hope for. I think this is going to be a tense one. I know they're like 9.5, 10-point favorites right now. Slam the Steelers plus 9.5. Slam plus 10. I slam plus 7.5, full disclosure here, because there is no way in hell the Bills are going in there and putting up points. This is going to be an under game. Whatever their over-under is, hit the under. I think it's like 32.
It's low.
Yes, hit the under, guys, because it's still going to probably be bad. Both of these offenses are very limited, even though, again, one has Josh Allen. Both offenses are very, very limited. Both teams have defenses that can be disruptive, and quite frankly, the Steelers have a significant advantage at coach. I'm just going to say that. Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches in this league. maybe a little bit harsher on Mike Tomlin than others because I don't think that he's had a ton of playoff success over the last decade, but he's still one of the best at when it comes to getting his guys mentally prepared for a matchup. I think the Steelers are going to come in this game with full intention they're going to win this game. The Steelers, I think they're going to come in this game believing they can win this game. So you're not going to see a disgruntled, confused, dare I say, intimidated Steelers.
Well, and what an opportunity for Mason Rudolph.
Dude.
You know what I mean?
Let's be real.
Awesome for him.
Let's not pretend like we didn't see Russell Wilson go in that house and win that shit.
Yeah.
Let's not pretend that we didn't see Tyrod Taylor go in there and should have beaten the Bills back in November. Let's not pretend.
Easton Stick almost beat them, dude.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Should have beat them.
The Buffalo Bills hosted the Patriots just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Zappe had 3 turnovers in the first quarter at his own, within his own 30-yard line, and the Patriots were driving with a minute left to go in the game, down 27-21.
Right, man.
Like this Bills team, I keep
team they had already
hammering this
lost
point
to
home.
earlier in the year. They already lost to the Patriots once this year. They almost lost to them twice.
I'm fairly confident, and I say fairly, very fairly. I'm fairly confident the Bills are going to win this game. They should win this game.
They should win this game.
But do not be shocked if this is a 2-point game, a 1-point game.
Overtime.
And we're talking like at the very end, a
Overtime,
nail biter. Yes.
yeah.
Don't be shocked if this is a field goal game at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Do not be shocked, guys. With Gabe Davis out, Taylor Rapp is out, Rasul Douglas and Tyrell Dodson are both questionable. Von Miller again is all the way washed. Josh Allen just threw another interception while I was talking. I think the Bills should win this game. They probably will win, but do not be shocked when it's a low-scoring nail-biter. Right now, Trevor, have the Bills winning this game 16-14.
Yeah, it's going to be a close, uncomfortable game for Bills fans for sure. You talked about the running game of the Steelers, and as you should, that running game has been coming alive. Najee Harris has actually been playing some of his best football of his career the last few weeks, which is good to see. Jaylen Warren has had an explosive play waiting to happen. But since Mason Rudolph has been the quarterback, Pickens has been unlocked.
Yeah.
And I think he is the X factor in this entire game. We all know that it's a terrible loss with Minka Fitzpatrick and now TJ Watt not being a part of that defensive unit, which would be
it really sucks.
If those guys are playing, I'm picking the Steelers. That's how impactful those players are, and I think how important those guys would be to making Josh Allen's life a living hell in this matchup. And if he can lose to Mac Jones at the time in that Patriots team, the worst team in football most likely, or pretty much considered the worst team in football this year, almost lost him twice, barely survived the Chargers and Easton Stick. I mean, these red-hot Bills that have barely been surviving. Granted, that they won the division, and the way they finished the season strong, congratulations to them. That was a honestly very impressive feat. But the way they got there was not impressive, though. They were winning a lot of these games in spite of their quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm a Josh Allen fan. I love his abilities. I love guys like that. I love gritty guys like that. But he's a very mistake-prone. And granted, we've been a very mistake-prone offense this year, too. But we have the credentials. We are accredited. We have been proven to overcome those things.
Right.
Josh Allen has been proven to fall when it matters most because of those things. He's played great, but he's been outplayed at times when it matters most. And I mean, he can go out there and have a good performance, but if that defense goes in and lets Mason Rudolph have a performance, of a lifetime, and this is his lifetime, you don't think Mason Rudolph is going to seize the day and try to, unlock Pickens some more?
Right.
Man, this game could definitely go either way for me, and I know that sounds crazy because the Bills are such a big favorite here, and as they should be. They are the better team, and they should be favored, and they are at home, and they're a tough team to play at home. But they're not the only team that can play in these kind of elements. The Steelers are known historically to be good in these kind of elemental games, snow, wind, rain, whatever, you have it. And Mike Tomlin thrives in these kind of in the environment. You know what I mean? And yeah, man, this feels like this was a tough one for me to really diagnose how I think it's going to go. But my X factor in this game is if Pickens goes off, the Steelers are winning this game.
Okay.
But
I actually don't hate that.
I'm picking the Bills. Yeah, I think that's the X factor there because I think the Bills know the Steelers are going to have to run the ball.
And with Taylor Rapp out,
right,
that's a massive loss, man.
Oh yeah, man. Both these teams are banged up on the defensive end. The Bills have lost a lot of guys, maybe more than the Steelers have. Overall,
just
they've
the
lost
TJ
a lot of
Watt
bodies.
one really hurts.
Of course,
it's a legendary pass.
Of course, but if I know anything about the Steelers and their defensive unit, they know they get very creative and they find ways to get after the quarterback, no matter who's on that field. Yep. They find ways. But I will say the Steelers have struggled against the run. This could be a James Cook kind of game, a guy who's been awesome this year. I believe he's like third in rushing. he's been low-key one of the better running backs in football this year. He's right up there with Pacheco numbers-wise, which is crazy. But if the Bills lean on the run too, this could be a very ugly game. You know, like you said, neither team probably won't even get to 20 points. This is going to be an ugly one. It has OT field goal win all over it, depending on which team you think can do it. But yeah, this is going to be one of those gritty. Both these coaches are kind of gritty coaches too. They're kind of the old school kind of ground and pound kind of guy. They like to get win in the trenches. So this will be a tough one. I think the under is likely, but I'm going the Bills. I think the Bills should win this game, and I think they do win this game. But I will not be surprised if somehow the Steelers find a way to win this game, man.
I looked up the weather in Buffalo real quick just to kind of give you guys an idea. It looks like the early part of the day it's gonna be snowing. And it looks like a high of 21. Game time, it's going to be around 19 degrees with winds. So I don't know what the wind gust is going to be. It looks around 22 miles an hour. So that's
still not nice.
That's still not nice. So I think that it's obviously going to be a better day for football and people will be able to get out there and stuff. But you're going to have, like I said, a lot of snow on the ground because of the snow that comes on Sunday. And then it looks like it's going to snow a little bit during the day of game time. It's still going to be a cold, bitter day. We've seen Josh Allen really struggle in cold, bitter weather. So,
yeah. Well, and
I'm with you on this, Trevor.
Yeah. When with what I want to happen, I want the Bills to win because I'm a sicko, right? I want the Chiefs to beat the Dolphins, and I told you I wanted the Bills in the first round matchup. I want to beat the Bills again.
Stay tuned.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Like I'm that guy that wants that. I want to crush their dreams again. I want Stephon Diggs to stay on the sidelines and watch us celebrate again. I'm that sicko. That's what I want. So I hope the Bills win in my personal wants and needs.
Then we have the Browns and Texans. This is a really fun matchup because of the fact that we're looking at two quarterbacks that are on polar opposites of their careers, but are both playing incredible football. We're looking at two franchises that have been, dare I say, two bottom barrel franchises for the majority of their existences. And now they both look like they're really on the come up, and it looks like things could get really interesting for either team. Whichever of these teams win could very well have a deep playoff push. I think that C.J. Stroud, outside of Patrick Mahomes, is the single most terrifying quarterback in the playoffs. Even though we have yet to ever see him play, I am strongly and confidently willing to bet that C.J. Stroud is going to be a guy that can live up to the moment no matter what the situation is. He just has that it. That's why I told you guys, I told Trevor this, and I think I've said this on the show, but I'll say it again. If I was building a roster right now and I had him or Justin Herbert to choose from, I'm picking CJ Stroud. I'm not even hesitating.
Yeah, man.
There is special about him. And I was so wrong about him coming out of the draft. I was like, he looks like a Jared Goff, a solid,
he felt very vanilla.
Yeah, top 12, 13 quarterback. Dude, I was so wrong. This kid is unreal.
He's incredible.
I think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback in the league. I really believe that. And I think we're already seeing that start to take shape and take play. And I love what DeMeco Ryans has done with this team. I love the fact that they found a way to squeak out the division, get a home game, feeling good about themselves. But they got the worst matchup imaginable for them coming into this game. And here's the biggest reason why, Trevor. And I'm going to explain why I feel this way about the Browns in a second. But the Browns right now are the worst team that the Texans can play. And I mean that with the Ravens and Chiefs included, because of the fact that Joe Flacco has started 5 games for the Browns. They're 4-1. They've won 4 straight with him. They didn't play week 18, so I don't count that game.
Right.
But they have an elite defense that gives up points here and there, but are so good at stopping drives. They're so good at getting to the quarterback. And Denzel Ward's healthy. He's playing in this game.
Yep.
So I look at this matchup, and I give CJ, I give DeMeco all the credit in the world for what they're doing. I'm not trying to take nothing away from them, but dude, we know that these games are about matchups. And even though the Browns haven't had a ton of playoff experience over the last several years, they have much more playoff experience than these Texans do. And with a rookie head coach, with a rookie quarterback, with Joe freaking Flacco, one of the most experienced quarterbacks in the league, coming in here, he has the second most wild card victories in the NFL. I don't know if you saw that, but if he wins this game, he breaks Brett Favre's record for most wild card wins. And he has I think he's the second most road playoff wins in NFL history, postseason history, behind Tom Brady.
Bro.
Yeah, I think he has 9. Yeah. So what I'm saying is this Browns team's coming in here unbelievably confident because they know that they have the quarterback that
Very
has all the
well-coached
experience.
team. I mean,
and Kevin Stefanski's an awesome
He's been coaching
coach.
his ass off this year.
Dude, they've had 4 different quarterbacks, and they won, what, 11 games?
Yeah.
11 games. Like, dude, it's insane. They didn't have to play their final game because they already locked up the 5 seed. So for them to do what they've done, like,
incredible.
I'm not going to doubt this Browns team this week, dude. I want to give all the respect in the world for what the Texans have done, but I think they're a team that's still a year away from being like a legit Super Bowl contender. No Tank Dell.
Yeah.
Their defense is good, not great. Like, I think they're going to have to still build a little bit more before they get to that next like upper echelon of things. This is no knock on them. Like I said, getting to the playoffs, dude, I had this team winning like 4 games this year, and they've surpassed all expectation, winning 10 games, winning their division. But this Browns team is the worst matchup they could have faced. I hate for the Texans that they had to get this team in the first round. I think the Browns are going to win this game. I actually think that I think the Browns are actually going to score some points in this one because the Browns have an offense that has everything you really want. A quarterback that can throw the ball downfield with a strong arm. They have awesome weapons in the passing game.
Wide receiver one, Amari Cooper, has been awesome.
And Njoku with Joe Flacco has been unbelievable.
Yeah.
What they've been doing
Kareem
together.
Hunt and Jerome Ford
and Kareem Hunt, they're awesome offensive line with Batonio and the fellas.
Yeah.
I think they're going to come in here. I think they're going to make a statement. I have the Browns winning this game 31-17. I think this is going to be. I think people are expecting a close game. I don't think it's going to be all that close. I think the Browns go in there and they put a work on the Texans because again, the Texans are a year away, and the Browns know they got probably one real shot with Joe Flacco because next year he probably won't be their quarterback because they have Deshaun Watson. I think they know like this is our shot. Myles Garrett, he's 27. How many more great years you getting out of him? How many more great years you getting out of Batonio and the guys? Like, there's a lot of questions about this team, so they're going to go in there and I think they're going to put a show on the Texans.
Yeah, I like the Browns too. I think if you swap teams in the divisions, if you put the Browns in the Texans divisions and the Texans in the division of with the Ravens and the Steelers and all those other, I don't think the Texans make the playoffs.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think not taking anything away from the Texans, that they had some things go their way in that division. That division kind of fell apart this year, if we're all being honest. So they're in a good spot. And congratulations to them. Year 1 of Stroud's career is in the postseason, hosting a game. Year 1. I mean, that's some, you know what I mean? Year 1 started, that's some Patrick Mahomes stuff, going into the playoffs and hosting the game. And then, you know what I mean? I love seeing the path that he is creating for himself already as a true possible elite player in this league. And I am fanboying over that dude all year. What he's done has been incredible. Anybody who plays fantasy football, you got that guy in like the 8th, 9th round in drafts. A lot of people won money this year because of that guy. And Tank Dell and all those guys that had, Tank Dell's out for the season, but Nico Collins has had a resurgence, career year with with this quarterback too. So, and I'm a big, fan of the coaches over there too, and their defensive coordinators and everybody. They've done an incredible job with that team. D'Amico Ryans has become one of the better coaches in this league, I believe, too. So, with all that being said, though, I mean, Stefanski is one of the best coaches and one of the best offensive minds too. I think he gets very underrated for what he does with his offensive schemes and the way he creates run blocking schemes and the RPOs and things that he creates too with his offense and play action plays for Joe Flacco to get him comfortable, because Joe Flacco's always been an incredible play action quarterback.
Yep.
That's what creates a lot of those big plays for Amari Cooper downfield, who's still an elite athlete in this league. Has been banged up a little bit, but he's ready to go. And Njoku is maybe the best athlete at that tight end position. That guy's a freak. So I love what they're doing there. I mean, I love this Browns team, and what they're solid everywhere.
Right.
They have arguably the best pass rusher in the game in Myles Garrett. Great linebackers, the best probably are arguably with the Chiefs, I think, in our tandem as well. But cornerback and DB tandem back there with those guys is arguably the best in the game as well. So I think this is a really, I agree with you, this is a really bad matchup for a first game for C.J. Stroud. And I expect old man Flacco to go out there and deal it, man. I'm expecting over 300 pass yards, because almost any you put him out there, he's damn near guaranteed 300 passing yards and a couple touchdown passes. I think Amari Cooper's a tough matchup for that secondary. He's been great this year, and Njoku is just a nightmare matchup for anybody they're trying to put on him. So I do like the Browns here. I think the Browns win fairly comfortable. I think they pull away at the end.
Then we have a matchup that I know is the best matchup of the weekend. A game that almost feels like a movie. And I can't believe it's actually happening, because of the fact that I never thought that it would actually go this route, where they would, things would come to this come to this head. And I think that we are looking at something that we're going to be looking back at 10, 15 years later and say that was one of the coolest storylines to ever take shape in NFL history. And I don't say that hyperbolically because there's been some great stories throughout time. I think this Rams-Lions game is going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
This is going to be the game that I think is going to live up to the hype.
Oh, yeah, man.
Think about this, guys.
So many narratives, so many storylines.
For 10 years, Matthew Stafford, I think it was actually longer than that. It was 11 years, I think. For 10, 11 years, Matt Stafford was carrying shit rosters. He had like him, Megatron, him and a guy here and there, and they would just make the best of it. Like Brandon Pettigrew and like random guys like that he would just throw for 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns with. Bad defenses, make him to the playoffs here and there. I think they played 4 or 5 playoff games in his time with the Detroit Lions. And there was no bad blood. And the Lions knew that it was coming to an end, and Matt wanted to win. He wanted to get a chance to win, in the playoffs, and they knew that they were going to move off of him and probably go younger at quarterback. And they honored him so much, they literally let him choose where he wanted to go, kind of like with the Chiefs and Tyreek Hill. He went to the Rams because him and McVay ran into each other at a vacation spot. Their wives connected, and they knew that they were getting out of the golf business. It was a perfect scenario for both teams. So they make that trade. Both teams benefit off of it because the Lions got a ton of trade value in from it. And what do you know? The Rams upgraded at quarterback significantly. They win the Super Bowl that following year. Matt Stafford has an historic postseason run. And now we look at it, and he's coming back. And more times than not, you think, oh, this is going to be one of those games where the home crowd's booing him. It's like LeBron going back to Cleveland and things of that nature. I actually don't see it that way. I think Matt Stafford's going to get a warm welcome. I think people are going to embrace him because they know he was a legend there. He did everything he possibly could. They understood it's a business, and those Lions fans are going to accept him and love him, and that's going to be really cool to see. What's also going to be really cool to see is when McVay gets his revenge on Jared Goff, like I said earlier, because this is something on the opposite side of what Matt Stafford and the Detroit Lions had as far as a relationship, because we know there's bad blood between McVay and Jared Goff. Mm-hmm. We know there's some personal shit that went down between those two guys. Some words were said about one guy's wife, and that didn't go so well over the other guys for the other guy. So much so that the other guy got traded away. And I think that McVay is going to have his best game plan that maybe we've ever seen. Because he knows that not only is this about the playoffs and getting another chance to try to get to the Super Bowl, the Rams are hot as hell, winning four straight games. They've won 7 of their last 8 games, I might add, averaging 30 points a game since November 19th.
Yeah. One of the hottest teams in the league down the stretch.
I think McVay has got something special for this one, dude. I know the Lions have been everyone's darling since last season. They've earned the right to be a 12-win team this year. They got robbed against the Cowboys. I get all that, and I love Dan Campbell. Got nothing but respect for Jared Goff and these guys. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson, all these stars they got on here.
Yep.
This Rams team's terrifying. They are terrifying. I would not want to face this team at any level. If the Chiefs made the Super Bowl,
they could beat anybody in the NFC.
If the Chiefs made the Super Bowl and we got to pick the teams I'd want to see, they're the last team I'd want to see. I'm not kidding. Because of the fact that these are the kinds of teams that do the unthinkable.
Yeah.
You don't expect it. You're like, how did this team do this? It's just like the Giants of 2007, the Giants of 2011, the 2012 Ravens. Like, what happened? Like, this team was struggling all season. They just get hot. And then you remember, oh shit, yeah, they have a future Hall of Fame head coach. They got a future Hall of Fame quarterback. They got 2 wide receiver ones in Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. They got an awesome freaking running back who's a top 10 guy already, and Kyron Williams.
Diamond in the rough.
An underrated offensive line. They have Aaron Donald, who may be the best interior pass rusher in the history of the NFL. All of a sudden, it all just kind of clicks.
Oh, and Demarcus Robinson too. D-Rob has been incredible for them down the stretch.
Trevor, I'm going to guarantee the Rams win this game. I know the Lions have home field.
Well, I'll just throw it out. This is my lock of the week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like I'm glad that we agree on this.
This is the most confident team I'm in to winning this weekend.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the Rams are going to go in there. Matt Stafford's not getting revenge, but having a nice home welcome.
Over my dead body for McVay in this game, dude.
Because they have, Trevor, they have the advantage at quarterback. They have the advantage at head coach.
Yep.
They have the advantage, in my opinion, at pass rush, even though Aiden Hutchinson is
close.
incredible. It's close.
Yeah.
I would take Aaron Donald over Aiden Hutchinson. Maybe not for the foreseeable future, but right now if I'm putting my money on somebody, it's going to be Aaron Donald.
Sure.
And I just think that this team is rolling into Detroit feeling as good as any team in the playoffs is feeling about themselves, dude. I think they're coming in here confident as hell. McVay is going to have something dialed up, and I love Raheem Morris and what he's been doing with this defense.
Hell yeah, dude.
This defense has gotten good quick. They were terrible to start.
Raheem's been that guy, though.
Raheem is that guy, and I loved every step of the way he's been successful.
Yeah.
I think Raheem Morris is going to have a great dialed up defensive plan. I'm not saying they're shutting down the Lions by any means. What I am saying, though, and this is going to be a close game, Trevor, but I have the Rams beating the Lions here 29-24. I think that's what's going to be the score. I think it's going to be more than a field goal. It'll be close, but I think that you're always going to – I think this is going to be that game where you always kind of feel like the Rams are winning. You know, like they never trail. You know, it's like they score for 7-0. The Lions get a field goal, 7-3. Then the Rams get a field goal, it's 10-3. Oh, they get a turnover. Now it's another touchdown, 17-3.
Right.
Oh, the Lions score a touchdown. Now it's 17-10. You just never feel like the Lions are going to get like the upper hand. I feel like the Rams are always just going to stay on top, never let them get close, and then they end up squeaking this victory out. I'm with you. I'm locking this one in as well. Rams over the Lions. I don't even have to just break it down for me. Why you have it.
I agree. This is easily the best matchup because both these teams are so similar. Both these teams win very similarly the way they win the game. They run. People love to talk about Stafford and these receivers, and they've been incredible this year. But this is a run-first offense still.
Yeah,
Kyren Williams is getting like 25 running rushes a game,
right?
And he's been incredible.
Makes Matt Stafford's job so easy, man.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. You let Jared Goff, and I'll give Jared Goff his kudos too. Very good at the play action play. Very good at the pretending he hands it. He's incredible at like hiding that handoff, selling it really well. And Stafford's always been that guy as well too. The play action play for those two guys is incredible for them. If they get that running game going, both these teams have really good running backs. I do think obviously as much as I love Amon-Ra, that's one of my guys. I love that guy. As much great as I think he is, he's not Cooper Kupp yet.
Right.
And Puka Nacua, the Detroit Lions do not have a number 2 as good as Puka Nacua.
No.
Puka Nacua is the best number 2 receiver in the league. He's been incredible this year. Arguably one of the best rookie receiver seasons of all time.
Right.
He's broken some records this year, and he's been incredible. So these teams are very similar. The way they're structured defensively, offensively, even at quarterback, Jared Goff and Stafford are similar quarterbacks. Jared Goff it doesn't have the arm talent that I think Stafford has, obviously. Stafford's a better thrower of the ball and makes better decisions. But Jared Goff is a very high IQ guy as well, though. I'll give him his credit. He's been really good this year. And I think the X factor in this game too is how healthy is Sam Laporta. He's been huge for them this year, and especially in games when they really need it. If Amon-Ra's getting bracketed, is he even
gonna play though? I thought they were saying there's an outside chance.
He's questionable.
Okay,
not doubtful. He's questionable. So I think he does give it a go. I mean, this is win or go home, man.
Yeah.
So I think that him capping off a really honestly an all-time rookie tight end season for him this year. He's been incredible for them.
10 touchdowns.
Yeah,
man.
He's been
900 yards.
Yeah, and in that offense, the tight end's been great. We've seen Hawkinson have great years there as well. So, then this matchup just toe for toe, skill for skill, position for position. This matches up so well. But this is, like I said, this is over my dead body kind of game for McVay. He is not going to go out there and lose to Jared Goff, bro. It's in the Dome. It's in Detroit. I know Detroit. Those fans are going to be roaring. They're going to be giving everything they got. But I think McVay is going to go out there and say, "The fuck you are! You're not winning this game." McVay goes and wins this game.
How ironic will it be if what we're predicting happens, where the first time in 30 years the Lions get a playoff victory, or there's a playoff victory in Detroit, and it's Matt Stafford, but he's not with the Lions. Like, think about how insane that is to think about. Like, just the storylines are so immense. Like, you almost couldn't write it better than where it is. Like, when it comes to all the entanglements that come with it.
I think as much as I think McVay is a brilliant offensive mind, I think he's going to pull out all the tricks in this game. He's going to refuse to lose this one. So
I wouldn't be shocked.
It's my lock of the week, man.
I wouldn't be shocked if Puka Nacua goes for like 10 catches for 170 yards.
That's
and
a
touchdown.
bad man right there.
I think he's gonna go smooth off, man. Because I think they're going to focus so much on shutting down Cooper Kupp, because we know that is the lifeblood of the offense. But Puka is quickly becoming that guy, dude.
And the Rams have been really good against the run. I think they could slow the running game of Detroit down and make it a little more one-dimensional. But I think Kyren Williams can absolutely go off too, man. Kyren Williams is he's a menace.
Yeah, man.
He's not like the sexy player. He's not like the most elusive guy. He doesn't make a lot of guys miss. He just runs through you. It's Marshawn Lynch kind of stuff.
The matchup of the game, just one more thought, we'll move on to the final matchup of the weekend. But the matchup of this game is probably going to be Aaron Donald and that defensive line versus the Lions offensive line, because that Lions offensive line is elite.
That's what I'm saying. These teams match up so well, man.
It's going to be fun to see the clashing of the Titans, if you will, when it comes to those position groups. But
no doubt.
Let's get to Chiefs and Dolphins here, man. We know that this is the game that everyone's wanting to talk about. I know you guys have been waiting to hear our take on this one. Trust me when I say I want to hear yours as well, so get in those comments now because we're going to be getting to speak it in just a minute. But first and foremost, Trevor, we must acknowledge that the fact that Patrick Mahomes is on verge of passing even more all-time greats and playoff numbers, and we can throw that on the screen right now as far as Patrick, his playoff history and his playoff career. So if you look right here, it's our producer Clay Windler from Red Tribe Cinema. Highly recommend you guys give him a follow. No, it's the next slide, the playoff records.
See, we got a lot here. Hold on.
Sorry, yeah, it's the one with it's from Clay Windler. No, that's not it either. That's the playoff. That's the playoff pressure.
Hold on 1 second, guys. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, you're right. Nope, not that either.
Playoff pressures.
Yes, it's the one that has Clay Windler. It has Clay Windler's on there.
Hold on 1 second. Playoff career. Mahomes since Super Bowl loss.
All right. Well, I mean, okay. I'll just say it on here. So Clay Windler tweeted this out. Playoff records Mahomes can reach this season. He's 426 yards to pass Marino. He's 880 yards to pass Elway. He's 1,282 yards to pass Breeze. 2 touchdowns to pass Roethlisberger, 3 touchdowns to pass Breeze, 6 touchdowns to pass Peyton Manning, 10 touchdowns to pass Brett Favre, 11 touchdowns to pass Montana. He's 1 win to pass Aaron Rodgers. He's 3 wins to pass Brett Favre, Staubach, and Roethlisberger, 4 wins to pass Peyton Manning, Young, Elway, and Bradshaw. And with the right postseason run, only Joe Montana and Tom Brady will be better postseason quarterbacks than our Patrick Mahomes when it comes to success. Says greatness, dog. I 100% agree with Clay on that. So there's some real history, and this is why I talked about when it comes to pressure and why Patrick Mahomes has the 5th most is because of the fact he's going up all against that. We know that he's going to start climbing the ladder, but the expectation of that is pressure, and that's something he's going to have to take on. I fully expect that he will. In Week 9, we saw these two teams match up in Germany, and even the score ended up, even though the score ended up only being 21-14, that game never really felt that close. We know the Chiefs started off the game at 21-0. The Dolphins didn't score till the 3rd quarter.
Right.
Tua had his worst game of his season in almost every single way, from quarterback rating, completion percentage, yards, touchdown to interception. Like
Tyreek had his worst game of the season.
Yeah, Tyreek had his worst game. He got shut down and stripped, and now the famous scoop and score play that ultimately decided the game. The Dolphins have one of the more exciting, high-scoring offenses in the NFL. That can't be debated. But even in a dome with a healthy offense, they scored 14 points against this elite Chiefs defense. You can't take that away from this Chiefs defense. Now, the difference will be, of course, the addition of running back Devon Achane, who is a star in the making. He did not play in that game in Germany. But, Trevor, remind me, which of the Dolphins running backs had 21 total touchdowns this season? That'd be Raheem Mostert.
Yep.
He played in that game. Which team had a single wide receiver that almost had more yards and touchdowns than the Chiefs' entire wide receiver room? That'd be the Dolphins with Tyreek Hill. And they got shut down in perfect conditions. I'm supposed to believe that's going to change for the Dolphins in a positive way with conditions they deem the opposite of hell. An Arrowhead with a banged-up roster? Go ahead and Trevor, throw that up there, the Dolphins versus playoff teams. So you'll see right here, guys, on this list, the Dolphins are 1-5.
1-5
against playoff teams. Point differential minus 91.
God damn, I didn't realize it was that bad.
Points per game less than 18, and points allowed almost 33. Go ahead and throw that other one up there, Trevor, of Tua Tagovailoa when he faces this is December and January versus all other months.
Getting cold.
Look at that. That's a guy you're scared of?
24-18.
I'm not scared of that guy.
Yeah.
That guy's coming into Kansas City in January in the coldest game he would ever play in, maybe of his entire career. And that's what he would be bringing to the equation. How about we look at Patrick Mahomes' playoff career, Trevor, with all-time ranks? So see here, first, and then to end it all off, he's first. Why don't we go look at Trevor real quick? Patrick Mahomes since losing the Super Bowl to the Bucs. Oh, well, if you look at that right there, the Chiefs are 5-1. Patrick Mahomes completes almost 73% of his passes, 323 yards per game, 18-3 touchdown interception with a 117 quarterback rating. So ever since he had that humiliating loss to the Bucs with a depleted offensive line, this man has had a Hall of Fame career, essentially.
Yeah.
How about we look at Travis Kelce's playoff career as well, Trevor? Because we talk about how there's, a lot on the line for some guys that people think they're throwing dirt on to retire. Oh, would you look at that? Second all-time in receptions in the postseason, second all-time in receiving yards, and second in receiving touchdowns.
That's not just tight ends.
Behind Jerry Rice.
Only Jerry Rice.
Only Jerry Rice. I don't see Rob Gronkowski on that list.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody else other than Jerry Rice that Travis Kelce's behind.
It's crazy, bro. It's insane. So what should we expect, Lance?
Look, the Chiefs wide receiver room still worries me greatly. I think that everybody knows that. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here. That's just what we're talking about here.
Right.
But this is a flat-out mismatch. Okay. I would have loved to have the Steelers this week, but this Dolphins team does not scare me one bit because the Chiefs have already beaten them the way that they did, and now that's even a worse matchup for Miami given everything involved. To me, this is a great matchup for a Chiefs team that seems to be rolling with good vibes right now. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet, Trevor. We can break this down, and I hope you do.
Yeah.
I think this is simple. I'm going to say this right now, Trevor. I think this is the biggest beatdown of the weekend. I think the Chiefs beat the Dolphins 30-13. And here's the biggest reason why. Yes, the weather's bad. I get it. But here's the thing, dude. I'm expecting the Dolphins to turn the ball over multiple times in this game and give the Chiefs short fields. And even if they don't score touchdowns, what did we see the Chiefs just do 2 weeks ago? They scored 25 points by kicking 6 field goals and having 1 touchdown. So even when the Chiefs aren't scoring touchdowns, what is Butker? The most automatic kicker outside of Justin Tucker in this league.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, if I'm expecting the Dolphins to struggle offensively, that means the Chiefs are going to get a lot of good field position. I'm expecting Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, like we talked about getting in rhythm early. I'm expecting �y'Aziah Pacheco to look fresh and ready to go, rested. He's going to be effective in this game in the run game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been really good when he's been given opportunities. McCole Hardman's back. I think Rashee Rice is really becoming the player we like him to be. I look at all this, Trevor, and I say, if the Dolphins turn the ball over twice, and the Chiefs end up on their own 37-yard line to start a drive or their own 40, they're going to get a field goal out of that. So that's 6 points right there.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chiefs have been averaging this season 22 points per game. So you just add 6 points to that, that's 28 points. So to me, Trevor, I think this Chiefs team is going to score more than 1 touchdown. So if you substitute 1 touchdown and a field goal, that's 4 more points. All of a sudden you're in the 30s. So I'm not sitting here saying the Chiefs are going to go scorched earth and have 500 yards of offense and Patrick throws 4 touchdowns. No, I think they're going to get a touchdown on the ground. I think Patrick Mahomes throws at least 1 touchdown, and then there's going to be a myriad of field goals. I think they're going to get in field goal range. But you got to remember, this Dolphins defense is completely depleted. Their best 3 pass rushers are out.
Yeah, I mean,
their secondary is depleted. Xavier Howard's not playing, and their best tackler, their green dot Baker, is out too.
Right.
So they really have Jalen Ramsey and a bunch of guys. They're so desperate for players, Trevor. They're signing former Hall of Famers for the Chiefs. Like, I don't know if you heard, Trevor, but Tom Holly's going to bang the drum, and then after that, he's putting on a Dolphins jersey, and he's going to play in the game because they're signing him. So that's what's going to happen in this one, dude. We're going to see old players. Melvin Ingram out there with his beer guts out there trying to play for the
where's Jared
Dolphins.
Allen when you need him?
I mean, my God. Where's Neil Smith? Are they going to get his little tape on his nose and have him go out there too, like the 90s? Like, I'm looking at this matchup, Trevor, and I don't see how this game's close. Unless the Chiefs just shit their pants. But again, I'm giving the Chiefs one last chance to show me, Trevor, because like I said, these last 2 weeks have made me think that this team can really refocus. They keep the mistakes down to where they're not throwing the ball 45 times today, which I do not expect.
Yeah.
I don't think Patrick Mahomes is going to have 40-plus attempts. I think they're going to keep it around 30 to 33 pass attempts, and they're going to run the ball 20 to 25 times, and you're going to see an efficient offense that may not score a bunch of touchdowns, but they're going to get in field goal range and let Harrison Butker get 3 points at a time. May not be the game we want, but I think also with the fact that I think the Dolphins are going to give up the ball a couple of times in this one, whether it's fumbles, interceptions, whatever the case is. We got to remember the Chiefs are the ones with the elite defense on the other side of things. The Dolphins are going to struggle to score points in this one. They only scored 14, like I said, with perfect conditions and a healthier offense. I think that, and yes, Devon Achane, I'm a huge fan of this kid. I love Raheem Mostert, but Raheem Mostert's banged up.
Yeah.
Devon Achane is more of a finesse-style running back. I don't think that finesse is going to be something you have in minus 15-degree wind chill.
Yeah, and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek are both banged up too, and it's cold as shit.
And who's going to want to tackle �y'Aziah Pacheco? Think about this, Trevor. Just a week ago, the Miami Dolphins in 60-degree weather up in Buffalo were struggling to tackle Josh Allen because they didn't want to hit him.
Yeah.
�y'Aziah Pacheco, who's literally a psychopath with a football.
Yeah.
He's a train.
Yeah.
You're going to try to tackle him in minus 5 degree weather? I don't see it, man. Like, maybe I sound like a homer here. Maybe this jacket's getting me a little hot over here. I don't care. I look at the matchup, and I saw that the Chiefs were up 21-0 in perfect conditions on a neutral site in Arrowhead, with the cold being in the Chiefs' favor. Because, like I said, and Nick Wright even said this yesterday on their show, about how, yes, the Chiefs have a flawed offense, but with this type of weather against this type of team, it's the perfect game for a team like the Chiefs. They can just run the ball, take these little intermediate conservative throws, and just be effective and win the damn game.
On the clock.
So I'm not saying the Chiefs are going to have their greatest offensive performance, but you're going to look at this score and see
30 points would be huge for us.
Right,
I mean,
but they scored
been a
20,
while.
They scored 25 2 weeks ago with 6 field goals.
Yeah.
I'm expecting the Chiefs to score more than 1 touchdown in this game.
Yeah.
So give them one more field goal in that Bengals game. They scored 32.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I look at. I think the Chiefs are going to dominate this game. They're going to dominate time of possession. I don't think they're going to have a bunch of turnovers. I think the Dolphins will, and the Chiefs are going to get to the divisional round, and we're going to talk more about that in a second. But I have them winning 30-13.
Yeah, these are two different teams. These are two teams going in two different directions, right? The Dolphins have been on a downward spiral here, not only just with their roster losing guys and having to sign guys off the street to come play in a terrible weather game. But yeah, these are two teams Dolphins are a team that are down, multiple players on their defense. The defense has been pretty solid this year, and they've lost massive guys on that defense, and then their skill position players on their offense, all their most important ones.
Right.
They don't have a star tight end. They don't have anybody who can be an X factor in this offense. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek, who's been dealing with an ankle, I think, and a hip, that hip too has been an issue like for a while now.
Pretty much his whole lower body.
You don't think that hip's going to be bothering him in this cold weather, man? Like, I know Tyreek's going to be out there regardless. Tyreek is a trooper. That guy is tough as nails. I'll give him credit. He plays through damn near everything. We've seen it here in KC as well. We've seen that guy take some massive hits and bounce right back up. He's a freak too, so I'll give him that. He's going to be out there. He's going to have vengeance on his mind for sure. But I think it's just too much. I think too much is piled up against the Dolphins in this matchup with the weather coming to Arrowhead. The narrative, I know with Tyreek, coming here, that's going to be a fun one but I think that feeling, that juice of that comeback here is going to fizzle out quickly, because I do think the Chiefs dominate this game. I want to agree with you that we go and put up, 30 plus and dominate this game, but I think this is going to be an absolute dominant performance from our defense.
Yeah.
I don't think our offense is going to have to do too much. I think this game's going to be closer than I want it to be.
Would it shock you if the Chiefs have another defensive score?
No. But those are few and far between this year. Right. I know we've done it in big moments. I get that, and all we needed was that one from this past matchup with them to put the game away. Basically, that was the nail in the coffin play. We didn't have to do too much after that.
Right.
The game ended up being closer on the box score at the end of the game than it actually was if you watched it. Which could feel similar to this one as well. There could be some backdoor points scored for them in garbage time to make it look closer. But I just don't, outside of maybe Achane having some big runs and some big plays, which could happen too. That guy is slippery, and tackling him in cold weather is going to be tough. But I think we'll have a game plan in place, and Raheem Mostert is still not right, I don't believe. And the guy is not, a spring chicken either. The guy's been around.
31.
So, this is a terrible matchup for the Dolphins, man. It just is, and we've seen their numbers, we've seen their record against teams. We all know their record in cold weather once in the colder months come around. So I'm not expecting a massive game from Patrick Mahomes. I do think Pacheco is the X factor here. I think if he can really get him going, and then Kelsey getting his, maybe 7 for 100 plus, maybe a touchdown for him. If he does that, it's a wrap. Because Kelsey didn't do much at all against them in that matchup in Germany. He didn't have to do much at all. But I think this is a massive spot for our defense once again, bro. I think this offense of the Dolphins is banged up and has been struggling. Tua has looked like timid Tua once again, second guessing himself. Poorly timed interceptions, the worst time possible in that Bills matchup. They had a chance there to go put up some points in that last drive, and he threw a pick, and it was a terrible one. So I trust Spagnuolo to put together a hell of a game plan, and I expect Andy Reid to be in his bag as well. And Andy Reid has to have those plays. He has some plays ready for their ass, no matter who we're playing in the postseason. He always has some plays drawn up. So I expect, this is win or go home situations, and my money is always on Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes to take care of business. I do not fear this Dolphins team. I just don't. And I don't think they should be feared. I think they lose to all the good teams that they face. They've yet to prove anything this year. They've been exciting. They've had massive front-running wins, and I give them that. But when it comes down to it, it comes down to the nitty-gritty of this game and the winning in the trenches and the cold climate kind of game. This is a game we win. And I don't think it's gonna be a dominant win as you think. I think it's gonna be a little closer than we want it to be. I've yet to see our offense really have that game. If that game happens today, that'd be awesome.
Yep.
But
this would be the defense to do it against.
Sure. And they are banged up. Yeah, Van Ginkel's out. All these guys that have been really good for them and reliable for them, they're out. I expect more bodies to drop in this game too with this kind of.
Well, yeah, and Emmanuel Ogbah, former Chief as well, who's been with the Dolphins for a couple of years, he's moved more towards a third back type of pass rusher. Now he's going to be playing like primary minutes.
Yeah.
For Jalen Wilson and guys like that, or Jordan Phillips. I mean, like guys like that have been out.
Well, yeah, so, Justin Houston. I mean, coming off the couch, guys. I mean, it's just like,
Bruce Irvin. I think it was.
I love Justin Houston, man, but come on, dude, he ain't gonna come in and be game ready to play in negative degree weather, bro. That's.
Well, and I don't know if you guys knew this, and I actually posed this question, and we don't have the poll on there, Trevor, so don't worry about looking for it. But I asked this question on Twitter, and I posted it with obviously I had a purpose and a plan behind it, but I asked this question. I said, if I told you guys that the Chiefs would score 88 points the entire postseason, if I told you the Chiefs will score 88 total points during their postseason run, will that be enough for them to win the Super Bowl? 633 people voted. 53% said yes. I don't think people really understood the point of my question. Because of the fact that 88 points would be what the Chiefs average per game this season through a 4-game span. They average 22 points per game. That means if they go into the Super Bowl, they would get 88 points if they kept their average. Do you know, Trevor, that this season when the Chiefs score over 21 points, they're 8-0? They have not lost a game when they've scored just
that defense,
21 points.
Yeah, that defense, man.
So as much as this offense pisses me off, and as bad as the offense has been because of the wide receivers killing drives, if they can just be this, as it is right now, Trevor, and avoid MVS, and avoid Kadarius Toney, just don't even look those guys' way. Don't play them. I'm begging them. Don't play those guys. And just stick to what you got right now with McCole back, with Pacheco and Clyde running things in the backfield. If you guys score 21 points, this team can get to the Super Bowl. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
They just got to leave the guys out there, push away the guys that have been causing you problems that are no good. And Kadarius Toney, we loved him. We hope for the best. He's not the guy. MVS, we know what he is. I literally nicknamed him MVS for a reason, because the dude is ass. Keep him on the sidelines. This is about the playoffs. It's about winning the Super Bowl. That is all that matters. I was really hoping that Jerick McKinnon would be back. If you'd like to show that real quick, Trevor, I posted a tweet this week. If you look below real quick, you'll see that I said, and we'll put it on the screen in just a second.
It's on there.
It's on there. Okay. So I posted this tweet. I said, because we'd heard the news that back on December 24th, obviously, Jerick McKinnon was put on the IR. Then he had surgery on January 2nd for his core injury, guys, where he literally had the muscles that keep the top half of your body attached to the lower half of your body. He had to have that surgically repaired. And I said that I hated the Jerick McKinnon news because if you guys know, I talked about it all week or all season about how I think he's going to be one of the most pivotal pieces moving forward. And I said, yeah, we've probably seen the last of him ever in a Chiefs uniform. Jerick McKinnon replied by saying, quote, "Is this what you believe?" Now, you can look at this both ways, and obviously there was a lot of people out there kissing Jerick McKinnon's ass and trying to crush me for what I was saying when I was really defending Jerick McKinnon and talking about how much I loved
Jerick
McKinnon.
It's a speculative tweet.
Yeah.
It wasn't a claim.
Yeah, exactly. And I was saying that I don't think that – I was looking at the long game here.
Yeah.
I was saying that, a 31-year-old running back that is now going under a major operation, just went under a major operation that takes 6 to 8 weeks to heal. He's going to miss the postseason. That's probably not a guy that Brett Veach is going to be bringing back this offseason. That's what I was looking at.
We were questioning if he's going to be back last offseason.
Yes, it's a part of the business, and I did reply to Jerick by saying that. I said, honestly, I do think that at this time we've probably seen the last of you here. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. Hope I'm wrong. And I think Jerick is trying to drop hints that he could be back for the postseason. That's my opinion of what he was trying to say. I don't know that for sure. But that gave people a lot of hope to where this started to break news, where people started to report on this tweet. Guys, I know Jerick's optimistic, but I think we need to accept the fact that we're not seeing Jerick for at least the rest of this postseason. Maybe the Chiefs do bring him back, and if they do, I'm not going to be upset because I'm a huge Jerick McKinnon guy. Love what he's done for this team since 2021. He's been an absolute just productive piece. Every time he gets the ball, he seems to score a damn touchdown.
Yep.
So, yes, I would like that to happen, but I just don't think that Brett Veach is bringing back an undersized 31-year-old running back that's got a core injury. I just don't think that's going to happen, but we'll see. The point is, Trevor, is that this team knows what they are. They know what they got. They know what they don't have, and they're going to have to keep it pushing if they want to make a playoff run here, Trevor. And I posted this tweet, and I'm going to finally address it because it seemed to piss a lot of people off. And go ahead and throw that one up there, Trevor, when it comes to the prediction.
Gotcha.
So I said this tweet out this week. I said, if the Chiefs beat the Dolphins, if the Bills beat the Steelers, if the Browns beat the Texans, the AFC Championship will be hosted at Arrowhead for a 6th consecutive season. Now, when people read that, and I left it alone, I didn't say anything in response to it, because I wanted to see if people got what I was trying to say. I wasn't trying to troll. I literally just posted the way I wanted to post it and leave it as is, and then I was going to address it on the show like I am right now. A lot of people were saying, you go check the quote retweets, comments, all that stuff. Well, what about the Ravens? They would have home field. What are you talking about? The Chiefs are the 3 seed. They'd have to go and beat Buffalo, and the Ravens would have to lose to the team they face in the second round. Exactly. That's my point. I'm making a prediction right now, Trevor, that if those 3 scenarios do happen, the Browns are going to go into Baltimore and beat the Ravens. If all this happens, the Chiefs are going into Buffalo, because I agree with you 100%. If this happens, the Chiefs are going into Buffalo and beating the Bills.
Yeah, it's happening.
And the AFC Championship will be Chiefs, Browns, Arrowhead Stadium. I'm going to tell you guys right now, to me, the Browns are the single scariest team in the playoff picture for the AFC playoffs for the Chiefs. Why? Let me explain this, Trevor, because I know it sounds nuts with the Ravens being there looking so good, and Mark Andrews is practicing. The Bills have Josh Allen. Holy shit. Like all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Who's the one team? Take the Chiefs out of the picture real quick, Trevor. Who's the one team in the AFC playoff picture that has a top-tier offensive guru or head coach, an elite defense, and a quarterback that has comparable playoff experience and success to Patrick Mahomes? Who's the one team? That'd be the motherfucking Browns.
I mean, yeah.
It's hard to deny it when you think
there,
about
man.
it that way. When you just break it down to the simplest of things, when you just look at it from the basis of everything. Yes, the Ravens are a scary team, and they've been beating some really good NFC teams. But Trevor, who was the last team to beat the Ravens in Baltimore?
The Browns.
And who was the quarterback in that game? It was Deshaun Watson with a broken throwing shoulder, and they beat them 33-31.
Defense dominated them.
Trevor, this is a better quarterback. Joe Flacco has been way better than Deshaun Watson's been. He's been utilizing their weapons way better than Deshaun Watson ever dreamed of doing. When Amari Cooper broke that record for the Browns, who was throwing him the ball? Joe Flacco. When Njoku started having his best stretch of his career, who was throwing him the football? Yeah. Joe Flacco. When the Browns started scoring 30 on a consistent basis, who was their quarterback? Joe Flacco. I know it sounds nuts, guys. Trust me, when I heard that the Browns signed Joe Flacco, I laughed. Yeah. I was like, what's that going to do? He's on the practice squad. Who gives a shit?
And the Jets passed on him. Yeah.
And then what happens? Now, to me, they're the scariest team the Chiefs could face in the postseason.
They are scary, I'm not going to lie.
And I would rather, and I said this and I mean this, I would rather go to Buffalo as a Chiefs fan than face the Browns at home.
Give me the Bills. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are a better road team than home team. So if you're asking me which team do I think the Chiefs have a better chance of beating, it's the Bills. Yes. It's not even close.
Yeah.
So I'm making that prediction right now, and I stand by what I said on that. Put that back on the screen if you could, Trevor.
Gotcha.
I want everybody to see this loud and clear. Screenshot it if you can. Hold me to it because I want you guys to. If the Chiefs beat the Dolphins, if the Bills beat the Steelers, if the Browns beat the Texans, the AFC Championship will be hosted at Arrowhead for a 6th consecutive season. Mark my words. The Browns are the worst matchup for the Ravens. The Browns are the worst matchup for the Chiefs. I'm telling you guys that right now. I'm not making a prediction about what would happen in that AFC Championship. We'll have to get there when that happens. But I'm telling you guys right now, this team that scares me the most, the team that makes me pee a little bit, my jockeys, is the Cleveland Browns for all the reasons I stated above. Trevor, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I love it. I love bold takes like that. I mean, I don't even think it's that bold, if I'm being honest. I mean, I would still pick the Ravens if the Browns met them in Baltimore. I think the Ravens gotten better since that loss. I think they figured out some things. This is still, a new offense for Lamar. This is still figuring out ways to get, their wide receiver one has basically been, Zay Flowers, who's a rookie, and then now, I don't know if you saw the reports this morning, Mark Andrews is back practicing, so that's a new development too. I mean, you get his number one target. That's a big advantage for them too, because Mark Andrews has been banged up all year. Wasn't really that great and available much in that Browns game because he's been dealing with injuries. So have him possibly back in that situation too is big for them. And I think Lamar has really kind of found his stride in that offense. And I think that defense is we saw what they did to the Niners. Granted, and Flacco is a guy that turns the ball over too, man. He's thrown a healthy amount of interceptions even since he's been back and playing for the Browns here too. But he's thrown so many yards and touchdowns. And that defense, it's the defense for the Browns is the X factor in that matchup for what they do to Lamar. Because if they shut Lamar down and that offense down, which I very much am confident that they can do, they could definitely win that game and probably will win that game. Because I expect Flacco to find ways to score points more than I do the Ravens go offensively score points. But I could also see some pick sixes and some fumble recovers that set up the Ravens consistently for settle for field goals, whatever scoring position. I mean, we know that division. The division feasts on each other. Anybody can beat anybody in that division at any time. Yep. That's just how that division is. But I love Coach John Harbaugh. Stefanski's a hell of a coach. That would be a fun matchup, man. That would be something. I had the Chiefs and Ravens in the AFC Championship this year. I had that in Arrowhead, though. So I'm going to be right either way. I think in this situation, if the Ravens do lose, the Chiefs would be hosting the AFC Championship in Arrowhead. I'd be right there. But also, if the Ravens find a way to win, it would be Chiefs-Ravens. It would just be in Baltimore. So, man, I think either one of those matchups, even whoever wins that game, would be tough for the Chiefs. I think both those teams are very not fun to play, just the way they play, and they grimy the game up a little bit. But I'm with you, man. I would be rooting for the Browns. I would love to see that. And the poetic narrative with Flacco going into Baltimore, winning that game would be awesome. Seeing that they already beat Baltimore in Baltimore without Flacco, this would just be added salt to that recipe. You know what I mean? So So I would still pick Baltimore, though. I'll be honest. If that game came down to it and I'm betting on it, I'm still gonna pick Baltimore or take because the Browns are gonna be the dogs, so maybe take the points with the Browns. However that pans out, what the line would look like if we got to that point, if that is the matchup. But I love the take, man. I love that take. I think it makes a lot of sense. The Browns definitely could do it. I'm not gonna act like the Browns couldn't do it. I think for me it's a 50-50 game if it came down to that matchup. So that's where I'm at.
I love it. Either way, it's gonna be a fun. Like I said, this is the most unpredictable playoff picture I have ever seen, at least since the Chiefs have been a playoff contender, like a legitimate Super Bowl contender. This just feels because you don't have. Like I heard Adam Schefter saying it on ESPN this morning. This is the first playoff scenario without Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, and I think he said 20 years. So it's a different world now.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs just haven't been the same team. So if the Chiefs were what they were last season, I think it's a foregone conclusion. We are all picking the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl and make it out of the AFC.
Well, if the Chiefs were the same team as last year, we wouldn't be the
Ravens would be the 1 seed, exactly. Right. So that's what I'm looking at. I think that's what the unpredictability and all of it is. But when it comes down to, like I said, a scenario like this breaking open for the Chiefs, I'm just saying, guys.
No, it makes a lot of sense to me, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem that wild.
They match up so well with the Dolphins. They match up so well with the Bills.
Yep.
They get those two teams. And I know everyone's so worried about like Patrick Mahomes finally playing a road playoff game. Guys, as our guy Mitch Holt has said already, Patrick Mahomes has already played a road playoff game. That Super Bowl against the Bucs was literally in Tampa Bay. That's a road playoff game.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear that he hasn't played a road playoff. He has. I understand the Chiefs are technically, the home team, but it's a confusing thing that they do where it's AFC, NFC, home playoff alternate. It was in Tampa Bay.
Well, let's be real, bro. Like, I'm not gonna. I don't want to jump ahead too much, but if we do end up facing the Bills next round, the Bills don't want to face us.
No,
we want to face the Bills. You don't think Patrick Mahomes wants to go beat them after that way that game ended, dude? We are beating the Bills if we see them. The Bills do not want at their place. Our place, it does not matter. If anything, they're more comfortable winning at our place for some reason. But that is what it is. But at least not in the playoffs, but in the regular season. They do not want to see the Chiefs. Right. They don't want to see Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes walking through those doors.
Right.
That is a nightmare for them. They don't want that to happen. So if they can avoid that at all costs, they're hoping that they're rooting for Miami.
Yep.
You know they are. So I want the Bills, bro. Bring them on. Let's go.
Bring it on. Let us know what you guys are thinking, because you know what we got to do now, Trevor, is we got to get to the people. We've made them wait for almost 2 whole hours. It is time to get to our people and speak it. I'm sure there's plenty of conversations being had. I'm sure there's plenty of questions. So let's not make them wait anymore. Let's get to them, Trevor. What's going on?
Yeah, so I've got 6 highlighted ones for now. Our guy Enrique on YouTube. How much of a factor is HN going to be? Did not play in Germany. Should we worry about the Dolphins' offense?
Well, I loosely mentioned it, but I'm glad this question's asked again so I can kind of dive into it a little bit. I am a massive fan of Achane. I think Devon Achane is going to be a stud in this league. I love his speed, his burst.
Chris Johnson-esque kind
of.
Yeah,
his ability to get on the outside and just make safeties and corners miss a lot. He's small, but he's not tiny. He's short.
4.2 speed, man.
But he's got a good sized body to him. He's a lot like Tyreek. He's built a lot like Tyreek.
Yeah.
Which is why I think he fits that offense so perfectly. But what I'll say about this matchup in particular is the reason why I'm not expecting Devon Achane to have this big, humongous game is because of the fact that the Dolphins, although they can run the ball really well, they run it differently than other teams. They're not a smash mouth style of running team. They're more of a finesse, get out in the open, kind of like, create with your speed. Yeah. In this type of environment, with this defense being the way it is, with the Chiefs having all 3 levels, having at least one elite player, I just don't know how they're going to really just go out there and dictate pace with their run game. I know the Chiefs defense is not the best rushing defense, but one thing I will say, though, is against like teams like the Dolphins, we saw for the first 2.5 quarters, the Dolphins couldn't do shit on the ground in perfect condition.
I don't know what it is about that. It's that Shanahan scheme.
Yeah.
Andy Reid knows how to
and if
play
I'm not
against
mistaken,
them. Spagnuolo knows how to play against
Wasn't Nick Bolton out for that game?
He was out.
Yeah. And so now Nick Bolton's back. You have Drew Tranquill, Leo Chenal, Willie Gay, like a plethora of linebacking talent against these running backs. If you're running a finesse style, this defense is going to dominate you.
Shit,
so
even George Karlaftis off the edge.
Right.
Dude's got wheels. People sleep on his speed, man.
I'm saying, man, like
I know who's been a menace.
I know the Dolphins are going to try their best to get the ball out of Tua's hands quick because he has the quickest release in the NFL. It's like 2.1 after the snap. But the problem is with the ball feeling like a damn marble out there with this cold weather, it's going to be hard for Tua to get a feel of the ball when he gets the ball immediately. So I know they're going to try to run the ball a little even more than they do normally, which is still one of the best or one of the most in the league. I just don't be shocked, guys, if Devon Achane ends up with like 65 rushing yards in this game. Don't be shocked if he's going to go out there and not do a lot. Because like I said, the matchup favors the Chiefs so heavily on the defensive side, man. They don't run, as our guy Chris Broussard says, the Dolphins are a breakdance team. When somebody wants to knuckle up with them, they want to breakdance. They ain't trying to actually get in a fist fight. Because they're not a strong team.
Well, and to the Dolphins, the way they play the game, they only have big rushing performances when they're playing with the lead.
Exactly.
And they are a team that has played with the lead a lot this year because they had a very good offense.
You know what game they didn't lead once in?
Right.
Against the Chiefs.
Right. So I mean, it's important for our offense to start off hot too, right? To establish ourselves, especially in our home stadium, let them know who we are, and jump out to a lead, and let our defense pin their ears back. We all know what happens when we do that. You know what I mean? So I do think even from the betting perspective, I would probably take Achane's overs though, because I do think our defense tends to give it up a little bit on the ground. We do play some bend don't break because we know Tua can collapse when things get tight.
Yeah.
So I think not pressuring too much and giving up some runs here and there. We even saw that in certain games where we still won pretty comfortably or won on the back of our defense still and had great performances defensively, but we still gave up a healthy amount of rushing yards. So I think he could probably get some, but he is going to be splitting also with Raheem Mostert too, who will be back. And both those guys have top tier speed, man. So they are absolutely always a threat anytime they're on the field. But if we score points and we make them chase points, they're going to have to throw the ball, and they're going to want to really make Tyreek the focal point of the offense.
Yes.
Getting him that revenge factor and all those things, especially after the way he had that fumble and everything last time. So his first game back in Arrowhead, all that. But Achane is definitely a threat. Anytime he gets the ball, that guy's a home run hitter, man. So we definitely, I fully expect this defense to be ready for it. I expect Spagnuolo to have the tape and having his guys prepared for that kind of explosive player. So, we'll be ready. Next one's from Josh Spano. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong. This is a Facebook comment. You think MVS steps up in the playoffs? Question mark.
No.
Yeah, I mean, guys, what are we really expecting here? I know he had that one game against Cincy in the postseason, and stepped up big in that moment, and I get it. But he's had opportunity after opportunity to not only take accountability for his lackluster play this season, he's followed up those lackluster performances and continued to be awful this year. So no, do I have any kind of faith that he has some kind of game out of nowhere? I would not bank on that. So yes, no, I would expect Justin Ross probably to have a big game before MVS did.
Give me the reason why. Oh, because he had one single game in the 30-plus games he's played as a Chief in the AFC Championship. He had one single game where it took literally every other wide receiver to get hurt for him to finally do something good.
Right.
It took that.
Right.
I'm not. Look, dude. I don't want to sit here and just pound on this guy all the time whenever we get an opportunity to, even though I'd love to. The point is, there's no reason for him to believe that MVS should even be on the field, let alone do anything effective while he's on it.
Right. Yeah, give me Richie James.
The only reason he's on the field still is because of his money. Because he's making, what, $11 million this year?
Right.
Like, that's the only reason why.
Yep. I agree. Yeah, so it's a no for me, dog. Next question is Shaggy Shane, our guy Shaggy Shane. On YouTube, how many consecutive years can a player stay on the practice squad? Wide receiver Cornell Powell is about to finish his 3rd straight season on the practice squad. Can Powell come back for a 4th straight year on the practice squad?
I would imagine so. I don't know what the law or the rules would be about a guy being on the practice squad for 3 or 4 years. I don't. Maybe I don't.
Unless
know
someone poaches him off to their own, or he's gone.
Yeah.
Via whatever.
Pretty sure you're going to be able to still stay on the practice squad even though it's your 4th year. I don't know if maybe Shane heard something, so maybe if he can answer that, like specify like if he had heard something about that 4th year. But if I'm not mistaken, Marcus Kemp was on the practice squad quite a bit for a 4 or 5 year stretch, right? I'm pretty sure he made the practice squad quite a few times.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that they could probably keep him for a 4th year if they really need to. But even if they weren't able to, I don't think Cornell's a guy that we really have to stress about losing if the Chiefs had to let him
no
walk.
offense.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Shaggy, I don't know, man. This is a guy that couldn't even get on the field with the absolutely abysmal play we've had at wide receiver this year. Yeah. He's a special teamer reserve at this point. That's all he really is. So. And he was a bust of a pick, if we're all being honest right now, from where he is taken and what he's done since he's been a Chief is 100% bust worthy. Brian Parrott, next question: how many sacks we hitting tonight?
I'm going to sit here and say I'm going to take the over on 2.5.
I think it's a healthy amount. Yeah,
I think 2.5 is the number I would take the over on. I think 3 is probably the number that I would look at. I think Chris Jones gets a postseason sack. George or Omenihu or both get one. But I do think that Trent McDuffie or Snead get in the mix. I think that one of those two guys are going to get a sack tonight. In today's game.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough game to get sacks because I think with the weather and the way the Dolphins play, they like to get the ball out quick because whenever Tua holds onto that ball too long, it's bad. That's
but they
bad
might
news.
force him to, is the point. Because we saw what the Chiefs did in that first game where they didn't get to him a bunch early, but they had their hands up and a lot of deflected passes.
Well, that's why I expect quick strikes to like Tyreek and Achane, guys like that. I think they're going to really try to get that ball out quickly. That's the only way I think they're really going to have success against us is getting that ball out quick. And, that's the only way this defense has really struggled. I think the Packers did a really good job of that too.
Yep.
1-2 reads, getting the ball out quick, and Jordan Love did an incredible job of doing that. And I think that's how we really kind of fell apart in that game defensively. So sacks will be hard to come by, I think, in this game, just because I think that it will be the game plan of the offense of the Dolphins is run the ball a lot, try to control the game, and try to get the ball out quick. But listen, I'm going to say 4 sacks.
I like it.
I'm going to say 4. I think Chris Jones gets one. I think George Karlaftis can definitely get one, and I think there, like you said, I think there will be some corner blitzes. Where L'Jarius Sneed or McDuffie get in there and get one too. And I think Mike Dana is always a threat to go get one. Dana always has that kind of, and especially, in a big moment like this, Mike Dana tends to show up pretty big. And a guy who's maybe the hottest defensive player on our unit right now is, Omenihu. The guy's been an absolute menace. Omenihu. That guy has been.
I think Brian actually put that on our chat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Menace.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, he's been an absolute menace, man. That guy. That's funny. I didn't even see that. But yeah, that guy is always the way he's been coming on, and I think he's gonna be a big X factor in the postseason
really
run here.
Come along, man.
Yeah, so I love what I'm seeing out of him. So I think this unit will give. If Tua was struggling against that Bills unit, let's be honest. No offense to them, but they're falling apart, and they got old heads out there trying to do things, and they're dropping like flies as well. So if they're getting pressure on Tua, this defensive line is going to get pressure on Tua. So I say 4 sacks, man. Screw it. Let's go. Next one is from Brian Parent as well. Who's our best short-range grab-and-go guys besides Clyde? As far as like getting the ball out quick, I mean, I think McCole is going to be.
It's without question McCole Hardman.
Yeah.
And obviously, Rashee Rice is showing that he can get yak yards with the best of them. In fact, I think he led the league in yak yards. But McColl's got that speed and that burst ability that even on like the jet sweep motions, he can get you a touchdown. He can get you 14. I think his right now, and not to make this about betting, but McCole Hardman's receiving yards are set, I think, at 14.5. I hit that.
Yeah.
I think he's going to get 14.5 because I think that the Chiefs got him implemented over this last game against the Chargers. I don't think they do that just to play him in that game and not try to get him warmed up for the regular season.
He's looked good, man.
For this postseason run.
Yeah.
We know that McCole Hardman can produce. We know that they trust him. McCole is a guy that they do trust in this offense, and I do expect that McCole's going to be taking at least the snaps from Kadarius Toney.
Especially in such a McCold game like, this one.
There it is.
Yeah, I think this is a great game to really break out those jet sweeps and challenge whoever
the lateral ability of this defense.
Whoever it is going to be trying to keep up with our lateral speed.
Right.
On that defensive line. Justin Houston coming off the edge trying to bracket guys, keep guys, who is going to be out there?
Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have anybody out there that challenged the end round, even a bubble screen to like Rashee Rice. Right. Who's stopping that on that defense? Nobody, man.
I'm going to add this real quick because it has nothing to do with the question, but I'm just going to throw this out there. Well, I guess it kind of does because it has to do with our answer. I want the first play of the game to be a deep shot. I want Patrick Mahomes to take a deep shot to McCole Hardman, Justin Watson, somebody like that.
Sure.
Even Rashee if they send him. I want them to show this defense like, oh, fuck, we have no idea what's coming. Because I'm sure the Dolphins are expecting they're going to run the ball. They're going to play these intermediate routes. If you go out there and do a play action fake and chuck the ball deep, and let's say it works. Let's say they get a 45-yard play or
even
penalty.
like a deep wheel route to like Pacheco or something.
Or a 45-yard penalty or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. I want Vic Fangio in the first play to be like, shit. What are they doing here? I have no idea what's about to happen right now. Like I know that Andy Reid likes to get as many yards as possible on first down. Well, then make sure it's a completion.
Sure.
I would like to see that happen tonight. Just a little sidebar.
Or a big play over the middle to Noah Gray or some random player, something like that. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. Just get a big chunk play on that first play.
Andy Reid tends to pull some plays out in the first couple, and that first drive is probably going to be scripted to hell. So we'll see. Next one is from our guy Brent on YouTube. How much is our run game suffer with Donovan back?
That's a good question because Wanye has been really good in the run game.
Sure.
I think that naturally it will take a little bit of it will play a little bit of a factor. But again, what we've been talking about, we're going to hammer this point home. The lackluster pass rush and defensive presence up front for the Dolphins now is going to be probably a moot point for this particular matchup. Now, let's say that Wanye doesn't play next week, and let's say the Chiefs are going up to Buffalo. That will play a factor because Buffalo has a decent run defense. I'm not saying a good one or a great one. I'm saying that they can make things difficult. And if Donovan Smith's out there against Buffalo, I am a little worried about that because we do want to see this offense clicking more in the run game to keep things in rhythm, to keep things honest.
Sure.
And so I think Wanye, when it comes to running the ball, is the better left tackle. Passing, probably Donovan Smith, I would say, but I'm not confident in either guy, so it's not like you're picking, a much better upgrade on either one, but I think that, yes, it will play a little bit of a factor, which is why I'm expecting the Chiefs to run the ball a little bit more to the right side of things this week and letting the guards and Creed Humphrey really decide where the ball is going to be going. I think they're going to be doing a lot of jet sweeps and things like that and avoiding getting Donovan Smith in these one-on-ones and getting blown up because he's also missed, over a month of football. So not only is he rusty, but he's also a guy that doesn't do very well in the run blocking.
It's more of a neutral thing for me. I don't think there's that drastic of a difference, honestly, between him and Wanye. Wanye stepped up and played big for the position he was put in. And I expect him back after this week. But I think Donovan, resting up, I know he's dealing with the neck, which is always a scary thing. But I think to my mind, he's been practicing a full. He's over it apparently. So cold game like this, I think that, we've seen Pacheco have really big games with Donovan playing at that position too. So and Pacheco's a guy that can make up for a guy getting beat on the edge too. He's so quick and so his burst is so incredible. He can still overcome those kind of things. And running up the middle, we got our guards. Our guards going to take care of business. So even if he runs up the middle, which I think is a good plan against this Dolphins front, I think running up the gut is going to be great. A great idea and a great game plan. So I can see a lot of up the gut, up the middle type runs for Pacheco, busting free. on those. So I'm not too worried about it, honestly. I don't think it's going to be too noticeable. I think Donovan played pretty well until he started getting banged up. You can kind of tell he just wasn't right.
Yeah.
And that's when he started getting pulled. But early on in the season when he was healthy, he was playing pretty well. So not great, but he was playing pretty well and good enough. So I still expect Pacheco to eat nonetheless. Next one from our guy, James T. Kirk. Hey guys, I've been listening since the beginning. Now it's question time. I don't think the Chiefs lose tonight, but if they do, who would you like to see win the Super Bowl this season?
I would probably say the Rams, because I think that what that does, that solidifies 2 Hall of Fame careers in McVay and Matt Stafford. Probably, and Aaron Donald's already going to the Hall of Fame, but I think Matt Stafford and McVay could retire after the game and make
solidifies
the Hall of Fame.
Cooper Kupp too.
Yeah, probably. I mean, he hasn't really put up the numbers career-wise to be a Hall of Famer, but I think Matt Stafford for sure has, and I think McVay, even though he's not even 40 yet, if he has 3 Super Bowl appearances and 2 rings, I think that he's in the Hall of Fame. So I would root for them. I would definitely root for the Rams, and I think if I had to make that, I would say that confidently. Second pick, if I had to pick an AFC team, which would not be fun, but I would say the one that doesn't really cost the Chiefs anything from a legacy standpoint, it's probably the Browns. It'd be cool to see another Midwest team get a Super Bowl. Joe Flacco gets to go out on top. You know, he would for sure retire at that point, get a second ring, and he would be a legend in both Baltimore and in Cleveland, which would be hilarious because they're both AFC North teams. So that would be kind of cool to see from a storyline perspective as well. So those would be my 2 picks.
Listen, man, I'm going to say if I'm picking an AFC team, I want to see the Ravens win one. I would see Lamar win a championship. I know that, that's our direct, that's Patrick Mahomes' direct competition, as far as started around the same time. Lamar's probably going to have multiple MVPs now in this league after this season. But I'm a Lamar fan. I'm a John Harbaugh fan. I'm a fan of that franchise and what they've done and how they do things over there. So I would out of respect, if the Chiefs fall short, I wouldn't mind. This is not a Cincinnati Bengals situation. There's no bad blood between these teams. I don't really root against the Ravens. I like rooting for them. Actually, they're fun to watch. I like the kind of football they play, and I'm a big fan of them. So I wouldn't mind seeing the Ravens win one and Lamar getting a championship ring for all the doubt he was getting this past offseason. The teams passing on him. That would be kind of cool to put that ultimate FU to everyone else that passed on him that could have had him.
Both times.
That's suffering.
Both in draft and in the trade.
Yeah, and all the insufferable quarterback play we've seen from these teams that pass on him this year.
Real quick, with the Falcons made the playoffs, that they traded for.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, dude. So it would be kind of cool if the Chiefs didn't do it. I'm a Lamar fan, so I like the guy. I like rooting for him. So it'd be cool to see that, get that monkey off his back, and have some, string along some playoff wins for him. That'd be cool to see. But then, on the NFC side, I'm gonna say the Lions, because we've been that franchise, dude. We've been not as bad as them in the drought they've been in, but I would love to see the just for that fan base go get a chip, and then my guy Amon-Ra getting a ring, Jared Goff doing his thing over there, and those running backs and that defense. Aiden Hutchinson becoming a champion already too would be cool for him in his early young career, and then just mostly for that fan base.
Well, it also changed things for the NFL from a coaching perspective because Dan Campbell's more of that
defensive,
throwback, Bill Cowher type of coach.
Yeah.
If he wins a Super Bowl, it's going to kind of change because we all know the copycat league. Once McVay went to a Super Bowl, everybody wanted to go after the young offensive guy. If Dan Campbell wins a Super Bowl,
big
it changes
rah-rah
the way
kind of
people,
guy.
People start to go after more of a Mike Tomlin type of guy.
Yeah, they're a likable team. I think Dan Campbell's easy to like. I mean, he was easy to dislike in the beginning because he's like, what is this guy talking about? But I think everyone's kind of fallen in love with him.
Yeah.
I think he's a true football guy. Like you said, not a lot of guys like that win a lot of Super Bowls, at least not in today's age in the last couple decades. But if I'm going to root for a team in the NFC, I mean, it would probably be, I don't know, maybe Baker and the Tampa Bay Bucks going on a run. That'd be cool to see. But
hilarious.
Yeah, but I mean, our history with the Bucks, I'm kind of good on that. But I would just for the fan base perspective of Detroit, and we know how it is to be that fan base that's just suffered and had chances and just fallen short. I would like to see them possibly win a Super Bowl there. So those would be my teams. Next one from our guy James T. Kirk. Do you think that Goodell didn't move the Chiefs game because of their commitment to Peacock?
No, I just think it's the fact that we know that the NFL is very reluctant to moving games unless they absolutely have to. The Peacock thing is a separate entity that we can talk about if you guys want to. I am in full disagreement with what the NFL is doing. I understand it's only $6, but that's where we're at right now. That is a very slippery slope. That is a rabbit hole you do not want to go down, because one thing the NFL has done really well is not only provide a great quality product, but they've been doing it on regular television. You take that away from the casual fan, you're defeating what your goal is, which is to create more casual viewers.
Sure.
And you put it on a fringe streaming service that not a lot of people have. To me, that only creates more confusion for people, and it doesn't create an incentive to watch more football. And I think if they do this and they keep doing this, you're going to start losing, like I said, the casual fan, because they're not going to be interested in buying a $6 to $10 streaming service to watch a damn football game. They're not going to go to those links. We will, because we're diehards if we have to, but that's not who you're gauging towards, because you already have us sold.
Yeah.
But when it comes to them moving or not moving the game based upon that, that's not the case at all, because Peacock would still own the rights of the game, because Peacock isn't a network that moves according to time.
Mm-hmm.
It is a streaming service. You can move schedules and do whatever you need to do if you have to. That is because if let me put it like this: if the Chiefs were having the same weather that they're having up in Buffalo, they would move this game. The only reason why people are bitching is because it's a warm city team having to come into the cold.
Yeah, you're only hearing it from Dolphins fans.
Yeah, if
Chiefs fans ain't bitching about it.
If Buffalo was coming to Kansas City this week, if Pittsburgh was coming into Kansas City this week, you're not hearing this.
Bro,
shit.
I know so many people that are going to this game. I know so many people that Chiefs fans do not give a shit.
At least
it's going to be packed.
65,000 people there.
Yeah, man.
It's going to be, it's going to be cold as hell.
Yeah.
But we're going to sit here and pretend like Kansas City isn't used to this shit. You're
Right.
going to pretend like other cities like Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Baltimore, places like that don't know what this shit's like.
Right.
Of course they do.
New England, yeah.
Yes, they all know. So like I said, the only reason we're even hearing about it in Kansas City is because that damn Tropic team down there in Miami is talking about it and bitching about it. I don't give a shit.
They know what's coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I agree. And the thing that sucks too for fans and for the consumer is this is going to work. They're going to make a shit ton of money. Peacock's going to make a shit ton of money. It's just similar to the Amazon thing. Now look at us. We're all used to the Amazon game. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know how many new subscribers Amazon got because of that?
You know how many new subscribers Peacock's going to get? And they did this.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to work, and they're going to make money.
The Chiefs are not just the Chiefs. They have Taylor Swift attached. I know that sounds silly, but you can get 13 to 20 million Swifties to subscribe. Yeah. Honey, let's get the Peacock.
Yep.
Come on, babe.
You already know.
Taylor's going to be
there. It's going to work. It's going to work, and this is the perfect game to do it with, too. For the name's sake, like you said. But yeah, it's going to work, and Peacock's going to end up getting more games, and they're going to start having some primetime games probably next year. They're going to start, sharing games with Apple and Amazon. All these networks are going to get it to where you have to subscribe, and you might as well just get cable to where you can get all the games. Like it's.
Well, that's what's eventually going to come down to.
Right.
Eventually, it's going to be a full circle order. It's not cable anymore.
You're going to paying more for all these apps.
It's the same thing that cable was, but it's just going to be for a bundle of streaming services.
Yeah.
It's not going to be for channels. It's going to be like, hey, you can get Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, all these other for $89.99, you know, and you get 12 streaming services. That's what's going to happen, man.
This is when it's good to know like one of your pirate friends that knows how to watch all the games for free somehow. If you got a friend like that, look into that.
They are the MVP.
For sure. I know a few.
Trevor's one of them.
What? Next question from our guy, James T. Kurt. Last question. What's your go-to food for tonight after the game? Hopefully it's a victory celebration.
Well, I will tell you this. I didn't even tell Trevor this. I got us some Stogs for after the game because I'm very confident we're going to win this one. And I hope you guys are ready because Trevor and I will also be doing a post-game after the game too. So we're doubling down today. So I know that we're eating on microphones today. That's what we're definitely snacking on today. But I believe Trevor's making steaks. I'm going to be eating whatever the hell I have in the kitchen. We were going to do
There will be some pizza involved at some point, I'm
Trevor
sure.
bitched out on me with a cheese dip. I was going to make my famous cheese dip. That isn't going to happen because Trevor has to be fit, and all that bullshit. I like to when it comes to like a diet, I like to look at Santa, and I go with that. So that's where I'm at right now. It's cultivating mass.
I mean, if we have a big victory, I mean, I'm probably going to cave and emotionally just eat everything in my house. So.
And we got some whiskey.
Yeah.
What beer? What?
There will be some. Some happy fluids. I'm sure.
More whiskey. What?
Yeah. Stay tuned to the post game show.
Beer,
for you. The post game show is going to be lit.
Stogies. What?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Got it all.
But yeah, as far as food, man, I'm making some steaks. So that's what I've been looking at. So that is all for the questions, though. Man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff, guys. We appreciate it. We've seen a lot of viewership today. It looks like honestly, this is one of the most viewed shows we've had in quite a while. We appreciate that, guys. We're growing exponentially. It's because of guys like Brian Parrott, James T. Kirk, Michael Maldonado, thank you for being back, bro.
Yeah.
Shout out to Carlos Crespo. Shout out to all you guys that are in the chat. Brent, we appreciate you, bro. I want to give as many shout outs as I can. Jay Kelsey, obviously our boy Shaggy Shane. Love you, bro. Henrique, Chief 65 TPT, Toss Power Trap. We appreciate the good name too, by the way, Chiefer 65 TPT. Got a lot of people in the chat. Like I said, that's just on the YouTube side, but I know our guy John Harrison's always involved. We know there's a ton of you guys. Starcade will chime in from time to time. Thank you guys so much for being with us, man. Hopefully this is just the start of the postseason run. This is where Trevor and I really crunch down and start to get the numbers going. But we try to give you guys a quality show each and every week. So hopefully you guys will continue to enjoy this as long as the season goes. Because you guys know once the season's over, we get right into the off season. We start talking about the moves the Chiefs are going to make. What do they need to add? What do they need to take away? We're going to, trust me, there will be plenty of controversial conversations that I will be having about some players that I know that the fans absolutely love and want to keep. We'll be talking about that, but we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. Go ahead, Trevor.
I do want to throw one more comment from our guy, John Harrison. I haven't really given him too much attention today, but
bro.
He has a throwaway comment that I think it is an important comment, less than it is a throwaway comment. But he said, anyone that is going to the game, remember that liquor isn't a coat. Dress warm.
Yes.
So yes, anybody who is going to game, man, please, especially if you're bringing kids or if you're bringing anybody, yourself. Dress warm, definitely layer up, bring your cardboard. I think they are allowing that as well.
Yes,
so bring, hand warmers, feet warmers, everything you got to do. Just stay safe out there. If you're going to drink responsibly, take care of yourself, get home safely, and let's get this fucking dub, baby.
And I will say this, and I agree with Trevor and what he just said. The cardboard thing, if you guys don't know, I'm not trying to quote-unquote mansplain shit, but if anybody doesn't know what the cardboard thing is about, it's very simple, because obviously you know that when you're in the stands, it's pavement you're standing on, or cement rather, that you're standing on, and that is just a conductor for cold. Your feet are going to be cold as shit. Our former co-host Eddie Ortiz and I used to have season tickets, and we'd go to every game, and when it started getting cold at the end of the season, we noticed that our feet, no matter what we were wearing, were just frigid. So we started using cardboard, and that cardboard just cuts off the cold completely, and your feet stay warm. It's a really weird science, but man, it really does work. Also, a little tip I want to throw you guys away: Vaseline. And I'm not saying it in the way that some of you dudes think I'm talking about. I'm talking about putting it on your face, on your neck, put it in your arms, put it on your chest, put it in areas that you want to trap heat. Put it on your feet. I know it sounds silly.
Yeah, that and some thermal socks on top of your feet.
Wear triple up on socks, wear thermal socks like Trevor said. And I know this sounds silly as well, but it's the truth. Tom Brady used to do it all the time. Wetsuits. If you guys have any of you guys wear wetsuits, put those on underneath your clothes. That will trap all the heat. But I highly recommend Vaseline. Put it, like I said, on your neck area. Put it on your arms, under your chest areas, all that stuff. Keep your body warm as much as you guys can. Make sure and pack a ton of cough drops as well.
Fireball.
What's the cough drops, Trevor, that you like that you always recommend?
The Vapocools.
Vapocools. I'm telling you, those are the most effective.
Yeah.
They make your throat feel so much better immediately. Don't do the halls and all that stuff. Go with Vapocools.
Yeah, it turns you into
Vicks,
a
right?
White Walker.
Yeah, it's like Vicks Vapocools, right?
Yeah.
Go get those. I highly recommend that. Those are just the tips for us, guys. Highly recommend that. Otherwise, just have a blast, like Trevor said. Stay safe. Don't drink too much because you want to enjoy this game as well. I've seen far too many fans before kickoff had to leave the stadium because they're puking all over themselves.
Right,
Don't be that guy. Don't be that girl. Just go have fun. Just go have a blast. Let's get this damn W, guys. But thank you again for everybody that's been in the chat. We could not do this without you. We would not want to do this without you. You guys are what makes this thing fun. We appreciate it every single week. And like I said, if you guys want to chime in this final segment, you're more than welcome to, because we have one more order of business to get to. Trevor, what is it called?
Hold It L.
Each every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. Whether those L's are friendly or not so friendly L's in the world of sports, we promise you, who is ever holding those L's in the world of sports deserve those L's in the world of sports. Trevor Twidwell, who's holding the L for you this week, my man?
Well, I'm always one to try to find a way to get to mix some hoops into the show. NBA in particular here. This L is going to go to the Chicago Bulls fan base. I don't know if you guys. There was a game last night between the Warriors and the Bulls, and there was a ring ceremony for some players, obviously, and then for the late owner or GM Jerry Krause. Obviously was the man that ran the show during the dominant Bulls run. Yeah. During the MJ days. Love or hate him. The guy as a person maybe made some mistakes and wasn't had the greatest character, but the guy knew how to run a business. The guy took care of business and, had a lot of success, if not the most success of any one individual run in NBA history. So there was a ceremony, and then, they had his wife, who is still alive, out there. They wheeled her out in her wheelchair, and classless enough. The Bulls fan, when they brought her out there and they're honoring Jerry Krause, it was astounding. Audible boos were being just absolutely just. I mean, it was incredible. I'm not gonna play the audio in here because it's on my phone and it's actually kind of rough to watch. You can watch it if you want to go on YouTube or go on Twitter or wherever you want to see it. You can see her absolutely just being emotional and basically crying because she's being booed, and her husband, who's being honored in the Ring of Honor in Chicago, everyone's booing her and her late dead husband. It was just a terrible look. And even the announcer during it, the Bulls announcer, even after the fact, Stacey King is the announcer for the Bulls. He said it was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And you can see it's hard to watch. I'm gonna be honest. She's obviously very, very old and in a wheelchair, and she's like out there trying to wave to everybody while she's waving. So you can just see she's crying and her tears are coming out of her eyes. You can say it's because they're honoring her husband, but the boos are pretty loud and it's pretty rough to watch, if I'm being honest with you. And then even Steve Kerr after the game, obviously a guy who was a part of that great run, Steve Kerr never holds his opinions back, because he was very upset in the post game, and he was ripping into the fans of Chicago. It was rough, and it's just a strange look, like no class, no respect whatsoever for the guy that, love him or hate him for who he was as an individual and some of the things he may have said and done. Gave you the best years of your life as a fan of that game, of that team. So, that was rough to watch, and I couldn't let that one slide. Honestly, I hate stuff like that. You got to honor the people that gave you the best years of your franchises.
And it wasn't even him; it was his wife. Like, what the fuck?
Right? And they were honoring him. They were mentioning his name, but she's being wheeled out. She's being wheeled out into the court while they're honoring her late husband. It's just a terrible look, man. It's really, really bad. You got your own announcer talking about how the worst thing he's ever seen, Steve Kerr coming out and just absolutely just shitting all over them for that. So for that, Chicago Bulls fan, do me a solid favor and hold this L.
Oh, that's fucking dumb.
It's rough to watch, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's pretty sad.
Well, I'm gonna take it to another direction. It's emotional, but it's more on the uplifting side. Obviously, we know that with the NFL and being a business, shitty things are going to happen where people lose their jobs, and we don't want to ever celebrate people losing their jobs unless they just absolutely deserve it and suck. That's not the case really with anybody that's lost their job this week, and that includes Bill Belichick, who I think is extremely overrated and kind of a curmudgeon, but I'll stand off of that for a second, because I want to talk about two guys that have gotten nothing but a great reputation outside of just the X's and O's. And that's Mike Vrabel and Pete Carroll. So if we could just throw that first one up there, Trevor. This is from Kayla Anderson TV. She put a tweet out there when it came to Mike Vrabel. She covers the Titans. She put a tweet out there that says, "It's been a day, huh? Before I get some sleep, I did want to say it was a pleasure to cover Mike Vrabel during his 6 years here with the Titans. Just one story I wanted to share." And you throw that second one up there where it's a little paragraph where she talks about the story that between her and Vrabel. And I try to pull it up here real quick. I apologize.
I got it on there if you want me to read it.
Yeah, so it's go ahead.
Okay, so there are some coaches you come across in your career that really make you better at what you do. John Tortorella is one of those coaches. Mike Vrabel is now the other. While some might see Vrabel to have a tough exterior, and he certainly challenged us at times, really he is a great person who truly cares about people. I've heard this firsthand from players dating all the way back to Ohio State and right here with the Titans. And I think many media people, as crazy as our press exchanges were sometimes, would agree. I will share one quick story. When I worked on my leukemia and lymphoma campaign this past spring, I had asked for a Titans player to come speak at my event. I quickly heard back from Robbie in the Titans PR, and he said Mike Vrabel actually would love to be there, speak, and support the cause. It was so cool to see a coach do something with no incentive involved, no pay, just something out of the goodness of his heart. He came up to me in practice that next week and asked how the rest of the event went, and if I ever heard of any other media member doing something for a great cause, to let him know that he'd be there. Just thought that was cool, too cool to share with people. I certainly enjoyed covering Coach Vrabel. And let me throw up the next one.
She goes, and wish him the best wherever he lands next. And the next one is from Jane Slater.
Gotcha.
She's a very well known reporter on NFL Network. She goes, she quote tweets Kayla Anderson and says, "Another share. I texted him today, as many as I'm sure did the following news. His response, quote, "How's your beautiful mom?" Knowing she's still fighting against her terminal cancer. That response on this day, he gets fired. He's different. A new team will be so lucky to have him. I mean, that's,
Vrabel's top 5 for me, man. I love Mike Vrabel.
And the story doesn't end there, because we obviously know Pete Carroll, one of my favorite guys in the industry.
Yeah.
One of the most energetic, loving coaches. He was a guy that really changed the way coaches. He was ahead of his time, as Mike Robinson said on NFL Network this week.
Yeah.
Where when Pete first came into the league, he was the New England Patriots head coach, and it was more about the raw guy, the hard ass Bill Parcells style of coaching that really worked in the league.
No emotions.
It wasn't guys that love you up like Dick Vermeil and Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
Well, there's a testimony from a former Seahawk tight end by the name of Jimmy Graham, a guy that might make the Hall of Fame one day. He made a tweet this week, and you can put that one up there if you can, Trevor.
Gotcha.
It says, "It's hard to believe anyone else will be the Hawks head coach. I'm grateful I was able to experience a man like you as my leader. I'll never forget being wheeled out of a hospital alone at 3 a.m. and seeing you with your wife, still waiting to give me a hug. Thank you for everything." And if we remember, man,
that's the stuff that matters right there, bro.
Jimmy Graham didn't have his best years in Seattle. So he could look at that time of his career and think, "Oh man, that was a shitty time." But what does he say? He goes, "That was the times I remember the most."
He probably learned the most from him.
And I think with all the negativity that swirls through the sports media and through all the things we talk about, that, everything's so definitive and you have to cut bait with this guy and this guy, we sometimes forget about the person. And I think that Vrabel and guys like Pete Carroll, they deserve to get a lot of praise for what they did,
no doubt,
in their communities, what they did for their players, and how many great. I have not heard one bad story about Mike Vrabel. I've not heard one bad story about Pete Carroll. Yep. These men need to be appreciated for what they did, the legacies they left behind, and how much. If a reporter's gonna miss you, that's when you know you did your job. Because I said earlier, man, coaches don't like dealing with the media. So if you left a positive a legacy with media members, especially, let's be real, women in this industry, they're still breaking into it. And if you treated women with respect that are still that's a big thing, man.
Yeah.
And that needs to be cherished and admired. And I think no matter what those two men do for the rest of their careers, I think they're going to excel because they're men of integrity. And I wanted to give them that. Speaking of men of integrity or lack thereof, the L was going to go to a guy that took maybe the most mass. Everything I just said about Pete Carroll and Mike Vrabel is the opposite of what I know and think about Jason Whitlock. Most of you in Kansas City know about Jason Whitlock. People that are Trevor and I's age and a little bit older. We all remember the days of the Kansas City Star. We all remember Jason Whitlock being the guy that always try to take the negative approach, always try to dismantle people at a whim just to make himself look better. The most insecure man in the history of sports media, Jason Whitlock. He's been poking the bear and poking the bear and poking the bear for years now. And Stephen A. Smith, who's the biggest name in sports entertainment when it comes to analytical, commentating, any of those things, Stephen A. Smith is the biggest of them all.
Yep.
Our guy Nick Wright will be there one day, but right now it is Stephen A. Smith.
Shannon Sharp's up there as well.
Yes. Colin Cowherd, guys like that, Skip Bayless.
Rich Eisen.
But Stephen A. is the big dog.
Yeah.
And Stephen A. and Jason Whitlock have a history working together back in ESPN all those years. And, Stephen A. has been so careful and so buttoned up of not even saying anything that he wouldn't even call Whitlock by his name. He would just call him the fat bastard, which I think is hilarious and accurate. And what we saw this week is Stephen A. finally say, you know what, after what I just heard this guy say about me, I'm going to dedicate my episode this week on the Stephen A. Smith Show, which is a private podcast of his own. It is not affiliated with ESPN. It's his own show. I'm gonna call some stuff out. I'm going to bring some skeletons out of Jason Whitlock's closet. And for 45 straight minutes, my guy Stephen A. brought the absolute fire. He destroyed Jason Whitlock in every way I've hoped somebody else would do it for the longest time, because I've never been able to stand this son of a bitch. And he did it, and he did it with precision. And ever since then, usually when accusations like that go out at a big level, there's usually people that come out and say, "No, that's not true, Stephen A. This happened, and he did this for me." And not one single person. In particular, not one single person in the black community has come out and defended Jason Whitlock, and that says something.
Yeah.
Because we know anything about what I just said about women breaking into the media world and breaking into the sports world and analytical world. It's been just as tough for black people to break in and do what they're now starting to do. Stephen A. Smith's a testament to that. Jamel Hill's a testament to that. Michael Smith's a testament to that. Chris Broussard's a testament to that. And none of these people will fuck with this man. Yeah. My favorite clip of the entire 45-minute tirade is this right here.
You bitch.
Bro.
That sums it up right there. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to play it again.
Yeah, please do.
You bitch.
Let's do it again. Let's do it again.
Bitch.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it the first time.
Bitch.
All right.
Oh man, I'm not even gonna steal the thunder of our guys' Stephen A.
Bro.
It's so good. It's so accurate. And like I said, it had to be done. Most times I don't like when I see people punch down.
Yeah.
But this was the one that just had to happen because Jason Whitlock's been asking for it for the longest time. And from a Kansas City native, for seeing what this man's been for so long, just this despicable human being, to finally just get tiraded out there and just put on blast by the biggest dog in the industry. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I've actually watched it twice now because I just enjoyed it so much.
It's so good.
We're going to keep that little thing on there because every time Whitlock makes news, we're going to just play that, and that's all we're going to say about it. But I thought that was the perfect thing for that to happen. So Jason Whitlock and your embarrassing-ass legacy that you have, my guy, do me a solid and
hold this L over there, Blaze TV or whatever.
You bitch. You bitch. So good, man. Play it one more time.
The fat bastard.
Play it one more time.
Bitch.
Bro, so that was gold, bro. That's gonna be a legendary role right there.
It's gonna be amazing. Yeah, it's gonna be remembered forever. And I hope
he could have done way worse too. He could have bodied him more. He could.
He held back. And I still think he did what he needed to do.
Yeah.
You know what? Who's going to do what they need to do? I believe is going to be the Chiefs today.
Let's go.
I think they're going to take care of business, and we wanted to get you guys as prepared as possible. Like I said, there's literally nothing going on outside in Kansas City right now. It is cold as shit.
Yeah.
The only thing that's going to be going on is a Chiefs game later on. So if you're out there, I hope you guys enjoyed this show before the game kicks off. We got NFL football kicking off about 2 hours from this live stream as we're doing it right now. But we appreciate all of you, whether you're watching this live, listening, watching later on. It doesn't matter. You guys are a part of this. I've had some really just real quick before we get out of here, I had some great DMs this week. It's usually one or the other. It's usually people that are threatening to kill me, or they call me the worst names imaginable, or people that say they really appreciate what we do here. I choose to pay attention to those, and I thank you guys so much for that. And I want to give the guy a shout out, Braxton Stone, who's on Facebook. He messaged me this week and said that he really appreciates what we do because it keeps him, in the loop, and it keeps him as a part of something. That's really what we, to the core of what we do here. We want you to feel, because I know, and Trevor and I, we grew up with a big family. We don't really have that anymore. So like it's you want to cling on to something that you feel like is home or like family. We want to be that for those that don't have big families or a ton of people to rely on. I want you guys to feel like that here. That's our goal here, because I put 13 years into this. Trevor's put years of his life into this. Like, this is not something we take lightly. So we hope that you guys enjoy the bond that we have here as sports fans. Whether you're a Chiefs fan, you're a Bengals fan, Bills fan, whatever you are, it does not fucking matter. Come and be a part of this. Let's have jokes. Let's have a good time. Let's talk sports. Let's keep it authentic at all times. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show before the Chiefs game tonight. I hope you guys want to come back and react to us. We will be doing a show later tonight. Mark that down, guys. Chatting of the Chiefs postgame show with Vaughn Booker, former Chief. He will be on the show tonight with us as well. We will react to what happens with the Chiefs and Dolphins. So you're getting a double dip of the Twidwells, baby. You guys are hanging out with the Spoken twice in one day. That has never happened before. I hope you guys are ready for it. I hope you guys are energized. Eat your Wheaties, drink your Powerade, do what you got to do, and get ready for a show in about 7-8 hours. We're gonna be back here, guys, and we're gonna be talking about the Chiefs game, and hopefully it'll be a Chiefs victory. But in the meantime, for Trevor Twidwell, for the great Clay Windler that puts this all together, for the entire Starcade Media umbrella, network, and family, we appreciate you guys. I'm Lance Twidwell. Episode 251 of the Spoken Podcast is done, finished, and finito. And until we're back here in a 1 week time, and in about 6-7 hours time, we got a lot of time coming up, guys. We out of this bitch. See y'all
later. 2 hours.